And welcome to the NBA playoffs from Conseco Fieldhouse in Indianapolis.
Hi, sir. How are you?
Gentlemen, start your engines.
What makes the playoffs special is that either you win or you go home.
It's what everybody works hard for all year long. They work to this one goal, and this is where all their sacrifices are done.
You gotta put out every single minute.
It's about, winning or going home.
Everything's on the line in the playoffs.
There's no bigger tradition in sports.
It is game time. You either win or you go home.
Teams had one common goal. Today, the 2-month journey begins to see who will ultimately call themselves champions.
We start the playoffs in 2004 the way we started them in 2003, with Indiana hosting Boston. We've got the #1 seed, the Indiana Pacers, and the #8 seed, the Boston Celtics, to tip off our playoff coverage as we look at the McDonald's NBA brackets. New Jersey and New York will be game 2 coming next, the #2 seed and the #7 seed in the East. And good afternoon, everyone. With Len Elmore, I'm Jim Durham, and welcome in to Conseco Fieldhouse. And while we have a #1 seed against a #8, Len, we also have one of the most compelling matchups in the playoffs. Anytime you put a high score like Paul Pierce against Defensive Player of the Year candidate Ron Artest, that's going to be special.
Well, it certainly will be. And Paul Pierce, one of the most explosive offensive players in the NBA, 5th in the league in scoring at 23 points a game. In 4 games against Indiana, he averaged about 21, but nothing came easy. Ron Artest having a terrific year, NBA Defensive Player of the Year candidate. Here's a guy that prides himself on undressing, if you will, his man defensively.
Sometimes literally.
Absolutely. These guys win at it during the season. And take a look at Artest. Any edge will help. But again, cool and calm, Paul Pierce just stepped back and drained the 3. Today, in the face of Artest's lockdown D, Boston is going to have to not only keep Pierce involved, but find ways to use him to get others involved.
Time to check out the Bud Light starting lineups. Now, while these are the starting lineups, not necessarily the starting matchups. Up front for Boston, Welsh, McCarty, and Blount. Artest, O'Neal, and Foster for Indiana. And in the backcourt for the Celtics, Chucky Atkins at the point, Paul Pierce at the shooting guard in the 2 spot, Jamal Tinsley for the Pacers at the point, and the veteran Reggie Miller at the 2-guard spot. A near-capacity crowd at Conseco Fieldhouse. These teams have met 3 times in the playoffs. The Celtics have won them all, including last year's upset in a 6-game series. Ready to go with the opening tip, and it's won by the Pacers, and this is Jamal Tinsley.
And Jim, as Rick Carlisle told us before the game, this is going to be about rebounding and tempo. As far as the Pacers are concerned, they don't want to run just for jump shots. They want to execute in the half court, look for those exploitation opportunities, particularly in the paint.
Rick Carlisle, in his first year as the head coach of the Pacers, he has won the Central Division Championship the last 3 years, and he's 12-15 in the playoffs, counting his 2 years in Detroit. Won over 50 games there. He won 61 as the top spot in the entire league this year when victories. The Pacers controlling that tip. It was interesting. Same play there on the dive by Miller, but they don't go to him. Now Tinsley sets up Jermaine O'Neal. And the ball out of bounds to Boston.
And that's one of the things Rick Carlisle is fearful of, his team settling for the jump shots instead of working their real advantage in the post.
So Chucky Atkins, a mid-season acquisition by the Celtics, and he's been a real key as to why they have made the playoffs in a season that has seen wholesale changes. Pierce off the drive, and it's a blocking foul.
Well, John Carroll told us before the game he's got to find ways to get Paul Pierce involved and have him on the move, coming off of screens. And right there, you saw the pin down. Here's the isolation situation. Draws an awful lot of attention. If Pierce gets established early, it's going to make it a lot easier for other guys to get involved.
Plus, Jermaine O'Neal picking up the foul, his first. Let's check in now with the third member of our team, Michelle Tafoya. Michelle?
Well, the last time the Celtics were here in this building, they were coming off an 18-point loss to the Knicks and preparing to play this very good Pacers team. Head coach John Carroll told his team that day here in this building, quote, "Some people in life can never handle the losing to get to the winning." And his team responded against the Pacers, losing here by just 1 point, playing a very good game. He credits this team, although being a number 8 seed, for getting this far in spite of a crazy season, Jim.
And Indiana turns it over as Reggie Miller was unable to handle it. John Carroll's Celtics off to a 2-0 lead.
You talked about Chucky Atkins. What he brings to this Celtic team is essentially veteran experience and leadership. You know, John Carroll told us that Chucky likes to call plays out there, calls the right plays, gets people involved, and as we said, start getting Paul Pierce established early. It's going to make it an awful lot easier for the Celtics to score.
And he opens with the first 4 points of the game. Jermaine O'Neal in a crowd. Draws the foul and will be on the line to shoot 2.
And that's what the Pacers necessarily have to do. They've got to take care of their advantage, their strength in the post. And here on the penetration, a little fortunate on the deflection. O'Neal's right there. But with the size and strength advantage inside, there's no need to settle for 18-footers.
Mark Blount whistled for the foul. The first on Boston. And Jermaine O'Neal, who is an MVP candidate, rattles in the first point for the Pacers in this year's playoffs.
Well, last year versus Boston in the playoffs, 23 points, almost 18 rebounds a game. He is absolutely probably the greatest advantage that the Pacers have, and this is a young man that's really exerted some leadership of his own, despite, you know, being that tender age.
And you saw that graphic, a 2010 guy during the regular season. Artest, yep, and a foul.
Huge weakness of the Celtics, and that's on the glass. You know, we'll take a look right here. Just gotten pushed underneath. You saw Pierce. And Artest quick to the ball. You know, it's all about strength. It's all about execution on the glass. And you saw right there, Celtics not able to hold a block out.
And the Pacers come away with a 4-point play to tie the game. Chucky Atkins pounded by Tinsley. Shakes him. And Tinsley called for the foul, and Chucky Atkins gets to the free throw line. Chucky Atkins coming to the Celtics in the trade which, well, it was a complicated one, but it was also the deal that sent Rasheed Wallace from Atlanta to Detroit. And there you see it. It happened on February 19th, and he's been real special at the point for them.
Well, he absolutely has. Since he's gotten to Boston, averaging about 12 points, 5 assists in 24 games, when overall only 8 points and a little better than 3 assists. But he brought attitude, organization, judgment to a team that had a tendency to go one-on-one, go off on their own.
And Chucky Atkins played 2 years for Rick Carlisle at Detroit. So he might be the Trojan horse inside of the inside of that Boston lineup as the Pacers take their first lead.
And again, speaking of inside, the Pacers once again trying to exploit post-up opportunities.
And Indiana looking to get out and run, but the Celtics recover. The Pacers were 34-7 here on their home court at Conseco Fieldhouse. The top home court record in the Eastern Conference. 8 to shoot. Artest against Erie Welsh. Put him away, and Ron Artest has scored the last 2 hoops for Indiana. He's got 7 of their 8 points.
And that's what the Pacers do so well. They identify the weakness, and they continue to exploit it until they force their opponents to adjust.
Chucky Atkins from the outside. Atkins, who shot less than 40% during the regular season from the field, but he nails that one. Game 2 in this series comes up Tuesday night at Conseco. The Celtics will return to Boston later today and come back in on Monday. The ball out of bounds to Indiana with 10 on the shot clock.
And a much better job that time of the Celtics. They're looking to front the post whenever they get the opportunity. Not very successful in the last couple of trips, but they want to deny their ball inside, make the Pacers go someplace else.
Miller for 3. Reggie Miller has just put his autograph on the game.
Not necessarily where they want the Pacers to go, especially with a hot hand in Reggie Miller.
Reggie Miller, who really struggled last year against Boston. Yeri Welch sets up Atkins, and Atkins knocks out a three.
When Chucky Atkins playing with, talked about that attitude, he recognizes he's got to get his team off the mark. He's starting to feel it.
Chucky Atkins, one of just a few of the Celtics with the playoff experience. Ron Artest finds O'Neal. Jermaine O'Neal from the perimeter.
Well, you talk about a big dominant player like Jermaine O'Neal on the blocks, and then added skill to be able to step outside. So unstoppable.
Indiana has hit on its last 5 possessions. The Pacers with the 13-10 lead, and the ball dribbled off the foot of Chucky Atkins out of bounds. Indiana has it. Almost 4 minutes in to game 1 in this Eastern Conference first round series and the playoffs, as we are tipping off the playoffs today from Conseco Fieldhouse here in Indianapolis, the first of 4 on ESPN. Game 2 this afternoon from the Meadowlands, the Nets and the Knicks. 6 on the shot clock. It's Jermaine O'Neal, picked off by Welch.
There's an example of Celtics trying to push the ball after misses, try to get into the guts of the defense before it has a chance to set.
Blount under pressure. Cleared by Foster. Tinsley. And it's out of bounds to Indiana with 7:23 left in the quarter.
And Jim, that shot's going to be there all day for Jamal Tinsley. The Celtics are going to test him. They're going to go behind screens and invite him to shoot the jumper.
He didn't look very good on that one, but he was about 37% from 3 during the regular season.
Well, the pressure's on now. Whole different season, and Jamal Tinsley's going to have to step.
Reggie Miller again. 5 points for Miller in the early going.
Well, that's a good sign for the Pacers. Obviously, last year in the series, Reggie Miller averaged only about 9 points. To his estimation and everyone else, is just a horrible series for him.
And he shot 28%. And the ball knocked out of bounds with 10 to shoot. The Celtics will come in.
Well, you never want to give the shooter the advantage of getting hot early, especially a guy like Reggie Miller, who understands what to do with the ball. But if he's going to get open looks, and he can make them.
Pierce couldn't finish the dunk. Foster against McCarty.
A little bit of open floor activity by Indiana. Isolation again. Jeff Foster at the top using his quickness. But the Celtics cannot afford to lose easy opportunities to score.
With 6:29 left in the quarter, the ball knocked out of bounds by Artest. The Celtics come in with 12 to shoot.
And you had a chance to see the numbers, points in the paint. That's where the Pacers thrive, and the Celtics have difficulty in defending.
Chucky Atkins, quick burst past Tinsley, had the ball knocked away out of bounds. Now with 8 to shoot, Boston to throw in. We talked about Reggie Miller having that tough series last year. 28% shooting, 9.2 average. Part of the reason why Indiana was upset by Boston.
And both Reggie Miller and Al Harrington, who comes off the bench, did not have stellar performances, and you're right.
Tip jam by Mark Blount. His first 2. The Celtics are within 5.
2 guys that you count on offensively, and Harrington and Miller have to be on their game.
Timeout taken by Indiana. 6:14 remaining in the opening quarter. A 17-12 lead by the Indiana Pacers. It's been hot shooting by the Pacers to start this game.
Come on, come on. The fact is, all light beers are low in carbs. That's it, Tommy.
This is for you and your crew. The ones that's true will always love you, no matter what you do.
Cheers on taste. Fresh, smooth, real. It's all here.
Impossible isn't a fact. It's an opinion. Like when they said don't fight Sonny Liston. It's gonna destroy Ali. So when my father looks impossible in the eye and defeats it, what do you think I'm gonna do when they say women shouldn't box? Yeah, that's right. Rumble, young girl, rumble.
I like things in life that are the best. My best friend, the best cuts, and of course, the best place for these. My son. Chris, let me call you back. I'm a little busy.
Now at Radio Shack, choose from select color screen phones, just $29.99. Buy one, get one free with a 2-year agreement per phone. Plus free in-network calling to any Verizon Wireless customer anytime, anywhere from the national in-network coverage area.
Did I mention the best sport?
Radio Shack.
With XM satellite radio.
Find hotel.
Bluetooth wireless technology.
Dial.
And voice-activated navigation.
Do you need directions?
No thanks. I got them.
You are not alone. Introducing the all-new 270 horsepower Acura TL.
Welcome back to Conseco Fieldhouse with Len Elmore. I'm Jim Durham. The Indiana Pacers with a 17-12 lead. Reggie Miller and company shooting 64% from the field to start out.
And the big reason is because they're not settling just for jump shots. There's a little penetration. Look at the movement around the horn, making the second and third pass, finding the easy shot, and then again, getting Reggie Miller off. First play of the game, he went back door, gave him a little bit of confidence, and now they're going to him often, and Reggie Miller is delivering.
It's been a busy week for Reggie Miller. With more on that, here's Michelle Tafoya.
Yeah, it has been. He delivers in a lot of ways, guys. Before the game, he was presented with the Kennedy Citizenship Award for community service and dedication to the community. He has raised over $600,000 for his foundation, which benefits young burn victims. The other night, he held his annual Reggie Bowl, and he had some friends there along with him. Jermaine O'Neal joined in. He became concerned with burn victims after his own house was burned to the ground back in 1999 by an arsonist. But Reggie has done so many other things. He can't bowl worth a darn, but he's donated, after 9/11, donated $1,000 for every three-point shot made, ending up contributing $268,000 to families of 9/11 victims. So much more to this guy than the three-pointer, Jim.
Well, he's got a three-pointer in this game already. And off the drive, Tinsley leaves it for O'Neal.
Well, O'Neal, again, drawing Blount out, at least trying to draw him out. Blount hesitating to come outside, and obviously O'Neal has that capability of hitting that perimeter shot. But you talk about Reggie Miller, again, his leadership is more than just on the floor, although you got to be impressed with a guy with his numbers who understands that for his team to grow and mature, he's got to step aside and let some of the young guys take over. And he's been able to accept his role.
Paul Pierce with 6 points to start this game as he connects on a drop back move. Ricky Davis in the lineup for Boston. Artest. O'Neal with the follow. Foster. Finally cleared by McCarty.
Pacers, the #1 offensive rebounding team in the NBA, and you had a chance to see why just then. They're relentless.
Nice move by Atkins. That's 8 points for Atkins of the 16 scored by the Celtics.
Boy, what decision making by Chucky Atkins. Again, recognizing the defense really tight. He's breaking that defense down with penetration.
Foster inside and called for the walk as the Pacers turn it over. And the Celtics have a chance to cut it to 1. The NBA playoffs continue with 3 more games on ESPN. Next, Kidd and Marbury match up, the Nets and the Knicks. And then at 8 o'clock Eastern, the Grizzlies make the franchise postseason debut. They take on Tim Duncan and defending world champion Spurs. Finally at 10:30 tonight, Yao Ming and the Houston Rockets against Kobe Shaq. Karl Malone, Gary Payton, and the Lakers. Ricky Davis missing. On the advance, Tinsley. .428 for the quarter. This is Al Harrington. Harrington hits on his first attempt. That's a good sign.
Well, instant offense is Al Harrington, averaging about 13 and 6. And this is a guy that comes off the bench, ready to score. He has been very much a key to the Indiana attack on the offensive end.
Mark Blount is called for a 3-second call.
But you know, the key with Mark Blount, I mean, he's got to be able to get something started offensively. But take a look at Al Harrington, what he's done off the bench. But the problem is in playoff games. In 9 career games, only about 2.5 points, close to 3 rebounds a game in 143 minutes. He's got to be able to feel comfortable in this setting.
Jermaine O'Neal with 7, and the Pacers lead by 7.
You know, Blount's got to get active on the offensive end, but just as importantly, he's going to have to now step up and guard Jermaine O'Neal. Can't sit back in the paint.
Atkins losing the handle. It's ripped away by Tinsley. What a play to Harrington. Fred Jones couldn't finish on the dunk.
And that was a slam dunk chance.
That's right.
2004.
And the 3 by Atkins is in. Atkins with his second 3-pointer. He's got 11 points in the game.
Chucky Atkins unconscious right now. And again, it's all about decision making, understanding when to push, when to break the defense down, and when they get set for the 3.
He's keeping the Celtics in this one. Artest lost it. Paul Pierce on the move on a 3-on-2. A nice dish to Davis.
Easy baskets in transition. That's what the Celtics are looking for.
And the Pacers, who at one time led by 7, now lead it by just 2. And a 20-second timeout taken, which will go to a full timeout with 2:53 left in the quarter.
You're watching the NBA playoffs on ESPN.
On an April weekend in New York City, 32 teams begin the quest for a championship.
It's April, and we're ready for some football.
You'd love to draft an All-American, but any selection could be a standout. An All-Pro, a Super Bowl MVP. What does your team need? The NFL Draft 2004, presented by Coors Light, begins Saturday, April 24th at noon on ESPN and continues all weekend on ESPN and ESPN2.
What's wrong?
He's at it again.
No.
The lunch meetings, the receipts, and this. He's in a meeting.
It's not what you think. It's even better now.
Taco Bell's new Fiesta Taco Salad is better than before. All the tastes you love with a new tangy chunky salsa and new lime seasoned crunchy tortilla strips. For a taco salad that's even better than the original, think outside the bun.
Yo, this is my house. But before I was king of the court, I had nothing. I took it one-on-one from the streets to the mansions of the NBA superstars. First, I schooled LeBron and Melo. Then took down AI and T-Mac. Dropped KG and Shaq. But yo, before you can have the car, the crib, and the crew, you gotta have the moves. NBA ballers, rated E's for everyone.
No thanks.
Dockers Pro Style. Shirts and pants that do it all.
What did I do to get over the recession? I changed my shampoo. Get new V for Men Thickening Shampoo with Virginium XY for up to 50% thicker looking hair for better scalp coverage. New V for Men by L'Oreal Paris.
This update brought to you by Taco Bell. Of course, there's only one game going on right now in the association as the playoffs kick off today. But let's look ahead at the rest of the day and night. Remember, this isn't a sprint, it's a marathon, a basketball marathon. Knicks and Nets are next. Then later tonight, it's the Grizzlies and Spurs, and we finish with Yao versus Shaq, the Rockets and the Lakers all day, only on ESPN, the NBA playoffs. Jim Durham?
Thanks a lot, Kevin. Back here, a 2-point game with Indiana on top. And Danny Ainge, the executive director of basketball operations for the Celtics, been a busy guy this year. In fact, well, he's the one that brought Chucky Atkins here, and right now he's glad he did.
Well, certainly Chucky Atkins is making Danny Ainge look very good at this point. Again, with terrific judgment out on the floor, recognizing the difficulty in getting the ball to Paul Pierce. Other guys aren't involved. He sees opportunities to break down the defense, and then he spots up for some long jumpers. He's keeping the Pacers honest, no question about it.
Anthony Johnson in the game for Indiana. The inbounds pass made, and off the ball, a whistle and a foul.
Again, Chucky Atkins with the penetration. No step out on the screen. He's going to take it all away. And again, that's the judgment that John Carroll wants to see. And then when the opportunity presents itself, nobody's guarding him. You got to take those shots and you got to make them. That's what I mean by keeping the defense honest. Force them to come out there and play you, and makes it easier for other guys to get free.
Atkins picking up that foul, his first. The Celtics have Chris Mim into the game, getting his first taste of NBA playoff action, replacing Mark Blount. 7 to shoot for the Pacers. Artest shoots on Pierce. And Jones tracks down the long rebound.
Again, an offensive rebounding machine, the Indiana Pacers. They continue to go to that glass, and even the long-range rebounds, quick feet.
Nice move by Harrington. Couldn't get the finish, though. Pierce with a quick look. Paul Pierce has 9 points.
And John Carroll's got to be pleased. He wanted to get Paul Pierce the ball, again, off screens or on the move, and in transition. You know, that's a no-brainer right there.
And doesn't want to see him put the ball on the floor very often. As he's subject to turnovers, Artest getting the shot blocked, and now it's ripped away by McCarty. The Celtics with a 1-point lead after trailing by 7. Mim. And the long rebound cut off by Artest.
It's a good opportunity again for the Celtics, understanding time and score, to continue to try to build on this lead. You know, that starts setting the psychological wheels in motion for the Pacers.
Jermaine O'Neal missing. The loose ball rebound is knocked out of bounds by Boston. Now let's check in with Michelle Tafoya.
Well, Paul Pierce has been through an awful lot. You guys mentioned the acquisition of Chucky Atkins, but think about it. Core players like Antoine Walker, Eric Williams, Tony Battie, Tony Delk, all traded. Jim O'Brien resigned. Rafe LaFrentz underwent season-ending surgery. Paul Pierce said earlier this week, I've learned it can't get any worse than this. But it's tough on him because he said this is the Boston Celtics. We're supposed to get to the playoffs every year, not by the skin of our teeth. We're supposed to be excellent every year, and that's the part that's disappointed him. He doesn't feel this squad has lived up to that since he's been here.
Well, they have a chance to do something extraordinary here. When I talked about the psychological wheels, you know, last year they ousted the Pacers even though they were the number 3 seed and the Celtics were number 6. Close games like this make the Pacers think a little bit.
O'Neal gets the basket and draws the foul as the Pacers go back up by 1.
But Paul Pierce, one of the great ones out there, he's got to adjust and he's got to carry his team with him. And to get into the playoffs is a major accomplishment, as John Carroll mentioned to us. And so that's the leadership element that Paul Pierce brings to the table. He's made the adjustment.
Pierce 5th in the league in scoring, picked up that foul. That's his first. Jermaine O'Neal with 9 points in the quarter. 25 points scored in the first quarter by Indiana is no surprise. They usually have good scoring first quarters. O'Neal in double figures with 10.
The Pacers going back to their basic strategy, getting their big guys deep in the paint, getting them an opportunity. There's a step out on the screen right now. That's where Chucky Atkins' offensive success has forced the Pacers to adjust.
Paul Pierce to the hoop. Missed tip by Mim, but then it's followed in by Walter McCarty.
Oh, Celtics attacking the offensive glass a little bit right now. Not the best rebounding team in the NBA, but they recognize to stay in this game, they've got to assert themselves.
Two-hand jam by Jermaine O'Neal.
Absolutely no answer on the defensive end do the Celtics have for Jermaine O'Neal.
The shot clock at 18, about 9 difference. And Atkins is fouled, trying to get the corner turn. Don't forget, tomorrow the NBA playoffs continue on TNT. New Orleans and Miami at 7. Denver taking on Minnesota at 9:30 on TNT. And then Tuesday night on NBA TV, it's game 2 of this series, the Celtics and the Pacers at 8:30 Eastern. That foul, the first in the last 2 minutes, so it's sideline out of bounds for the Celtics. The shot clock at 10.
And there's an example of Pierce not wanting to put the ball on the floor against Artest, waiting for guys to get free.
Fred Jones called for the foul, and now Indiana is over the limit. Ricky Davis on the free throw line for Boston. Well, you wouldn't have thought, Len, that the Celtics had the kind of firepower to put almost 30 points up on the board in the first quarter.
Yeah, but they've got some excellent execution, particularly Chucky Atkins finding his spots. Obviously now starting to get other people involved. It's been slow but steady for Paul Pierce. And now you get Ricky Davis active. Ricky Davis, particularly gifted scorer. Last 3 games, averaged about 24 points a game. You know, he's a 6th man. He brings them an awful lot of firepower and a difficult matchup for the other side as he comes off the bench.
You saw Reggie Miller return for Indiana, and Marcus Banks, the rookie, in the game for Boston.
Well, obviously Reggie Miller in here for this last possession, getting an opportunity. He's trying to stretch the defense a little bit.
Banks hounding Johnson. 7 seconds left, and a foul called on Banks will put Johnson on the free throw line.
Well, the rookie did just about everything he could to dissuade AJ from shooting the ball, but you know, Johnson just stayed with it. There's the reaching, and Banks, pretty good defensive player. Again, just one reach too many.
There you see Marcus Banks, the rookie from UNLV, getting his first taste of playoff competition.
And that's really the key for this Celtic team. Only 3 guys really have had significant playoff experience. They've got a lot of young players out here. This is the first time they've stepped into that intensity.
Only 3 were here for last year's upset. And now let's check in with Michelle with more on Marcus Banks.
Yeah, a rookie, but he says he loves steals. He says defense creates offense for me. He's best in the league in steals per 48 minutes. Best in the league with 3.05 to be precise. Head coach John Carroll says the most important thing he has done this season, though, is earn tremendous respect from his teammates for the way he's carried himself on the floor.
2 free throws by Anthony Johnson put the Pacers up 3 in the final seconds. Here comes Pierce. Pierce against Artest. Did he beat the clock? He did.
Boy, terrific judgment once again. This time it's not Chucky Atkins, but Paul Pierce. Spread floor, opportunity to go to the basket strong, and the Pacer defense just broke down.
Indiana puts 30 points on the board, and yet Boston does not lose contact. 11 points for Paul Pierce. Reggie Miller was hot early, scored 5 quickly. Chucky Atkins with 11 for the Celtics to join Pierce in double figures. Boston within 1.
Hi. Hey, baby, what's up? You're hot. Come on. You want to party? What? Exactly.
Fight Night 2004. Rated T for teen. Fight online only on PlayStation 2. EA Sports. It's in the game.
Hey, what's up, Thurs? Yo, Thurs, what's up with the extra Sprite?
Brother, you can never be too far away from the crisp, thirst-quenching lemon lime goodness of Sprite. Now let's say some big old Sasquatch sits here on my left taking up the armrest and whatnot. I'ma be over here on my right with this Sprite.
So what about that one?
Now say some young honey dip sits over here on my left. I'ma spend my time over here with her, getting my drink on. Show her my motto. Ooh, ooh. Now this is gonna be interesting. Who's thirsty?
Now you beat the egg whites on high speed until they're soft.
You, me, outside. We gotta talk. A minivan? You gotta be like, what kind of action do you think we're gonna get in a minivan? You might as well walk around in a skirt. We had game, man. And then you go and... Nice. It's got a big back seat.
The Odyssey from Honda.
Handle to Gervin down low. Gervin takes a shot. Good. 33. Moses. Shoot it, Moses. He made it.
It's gotta be the shoe.
David Robinson with the ball.
I could do. His finger roll.
Vince Carter, a rolling derby. It all comes down to this. Holy Toledo.
Every investor wants to get ahead. Every investor has a destination. The job at Janus is getting every investor closer. Janus is delivering, pushing hard for performance, offering more investment choices. Janus is working to earn every investor's confidence, every step of the way. Get there. Janus Capital Group.
You're watching 20th Century Fox's presentation of ESPN's Play Like There's No Tomorrow.
Welcome back to Conseco Fieldhouse in downtown Indianapolis. It's a one-point game. Pacers at the end of one. Jim Durham with Len Elmore with you this afternoon. I'm surprised Boston's in this game with 30 points on the board for Indiana.
Well, this is their tempo, and the Pacers only allow 86 points per game. Boston wants to get up and down. They score. And you take a look at the shooting right there. That's very uncharacteristic of Pacer defense. Celtics 55% from the field, and it's primarily Paul Pierce and Chucky Atkins, who are 8 of 13 from the field, 11 points each.
Marcus Banks starts the second quarter at the point. Ricky Davis pounded by Artest, and Pierce was free for a moment. Marcus Banks connecting.
And that's where Paul Pierce is very effective. Once he's established himself, as we mentioned, 11 points in the first quarter. Now the defense has to adjust to him, and he makes other guys better.
The Celtics with a 1-point lead. They trailed by as many as 7 in the first quarter, and Artest puts the Pacers back on top. Ron Artest with 10.
And that's what the Pacers need. Someone else to get back involved in the offense. It was pretty much Jermaine O'Neal in the first quarter, 12 points. We got to get another option.
Davis works around the Pierce pick and draws the foul in the process. Larry Bird, the president of the Indiana Pacers and the former Celtic great, has put together an outstanding ball club here, and one of the last components, of course, was his coach, Rick Carlisle, who didn't take over until, what, about 3 weeks before training camp.
And what a marvelous job, obviously, Larry Bird has done in assembling his team. But more importantly, Rick Carlisle was that missing piece. Consistency, composure, a fine understanding of this game.
Anthony Johnson gets the corner turned and drops home the runner.
And with Jermaine O'Neal out of the game, again, Indiana starting to find some other options offensively.
Banks works around the pick by McCarty, and the ball is kicked by Indiana, so the Celtics have it. The 1986 World Championship Boston Celtics with a lot of guys making contributions around the NBA. There you see Rick Carlisle pictured, and of course Danny Ainge, his boss, and Larry Bird. Larry Bird, the boss of Rick Carlisle now. 6 on the shot clock for McCarty. Chris Mim left it a little short, and on the deflection, it's out of bounds to Boston. Now let's go back to that team. Jerry Seasting, an assistant coach with the Minnesota Timberwolves. Kevin McHale, his boss there. Chris Ford, head coach with the 76ers.
Well, those guys have been able to capitalize on that winning experience. You know, a lot of brain trust on that 86 team.
Ron Artest goes out of the game now as Jonathan Bender comes on for the first time, and it's a goaltend on the block inside. Davis gets the hoop.
Well, Jeff Foster, incredulous. He believed that he got it before it hit the backboard. The official said that he pinned it against the backboard, and in this league, that's goaltending.
35-33 Pacers. Anthony Johnson, the backup point guard to Jamal Tinsley. Harrington wheels in on McCarty. Lost the handle, missed the tip, and lost possession as Banks comes down with it.
And it took an awful lot of green shirts in there to compete to get that rebound, but they got the job done, and that's what the Celtics have to continue to do. Hit the glass.
Banks had it blocked. The follow is missed. Banks comes down with it and finds Pierce wide open for 3. Jones the rebound. Pacers really having a problem right now, Len, getting any kind of traction. Anthony Johnson is short. Paul Pierce the rebound.
And Jim, especially when they try to go inside now. Again, Jermaine O'Neal not on the floor. A little more difficult to get the ball inside, particularly with the Celtic help.
There's a clip on Chris Minn as he fouled Bender.
In another sport, that would have been a nice open field tackle, but you look here at Indiana giving Boston a little bit of their own medicine on the penetration, the double, digging the ball off the floor, creating a turnover.
Yuri Welch returning for the Celtics. And Paul Pierce going out.
And again, that's one of the reasons why John Carroll doesn't want Paul Pierce to handle the ball so much, because obviously the Pacer defense is key to that. And when I say handle, that means put it on the floor.
Each team with 5 turnovers to this point. Harrington fires on McCarty. Overshot the mark into the hands of Marcus Banks.
Well, the Pacers have gone away from trying to get the ball into the paint from the post-up situation.
Ricky Davis shakes a defender and is fouled at the hoop. He'll shoot 2.
Conversely, Celtics just doing a nice job of isolation, putting it on the floor and taking guys to the basket.
That foul was on Jeff Foster. Foster with his first. Ricky Davis getting his first taste of playoff experience. Makes the free throw. Tomorrow, the best of the game are taking it to a whole new level. ABC brings you first-round action from the NBA playoffs. The Mavericks take on the Kings in Game 1 of that series at Arco. The coverage starts with GMC hang time at 3 p.m. Eastern. That's tomorrow on ABC, home of the NBA Finals.
We were talking about that earlier. That's one of those games you can't look down too often because they're going to be putting points on the board.
Tie game with 8:50 left in the half. Bender had the shot blocked, but a foul call. The foul is on McCarty. A timeout taken. We got a tie game.
One night, some lawyers snuck into your home and made you sign a contract dictating that you have to be a mature, sedan-driving adult. The bad news, that really is your signature on the contract. The good news, there's a loophole. No one said it has to be boring. It can be fun. It can be gorgeous. It can be fast. That's the loophole. Huh.
A-Rod and pinstripes, Steinbrenner's unbelievable. Who'd you take, Shaq or Yao? Shaq's the man, but Yao's really shown me something. I don't like the DH, but it's hard to imagine baseball without it. My head is with Tiger, but my heart is with Daly.
This is Mike and Mike in the morning on ESPN Radio. Trade talk.
ESPN Radio. Get your radio on.
Have you ever wanted a genie? You make a wish and you get what you want. DVR. DirecTV DVR with the TiVo.
It's a little box.
That's my genie. It's awesome.
DVR is digital video recorder.
There's no tapes. You just punch in,
Click. Boom. It's recorded every time the show airs.
And we can record them both at the same time. Same time. Go out and have dinner.
I watch what I want to watch, whenever I want.
It feels like I'm running my own network.
Bye-bye, network schedule.
Bye-bye.
DirecTV DVR. Call 1-866-GET-A-DVR for this special offer.
Warner Brothers presents a man.
You're a con man?
Con artist. His partner.
You good to go? Is it po-po in the woods?
His daughter. You ready for this?
I was born ready.
Their job today, to take people's money.
No. They give me their money.
Matchstick Men.
You looking for something, sucker?
Only on DirecTV pay-per-view.
Time for an NBA flashback. 91 first round. Larry Bird and Chuck Person staged a personal battle during those playoffs. Boston and Indiana each had 2 wins when late in the first half of a deciding Game 5, Larry Bird would bang his head on the parquet floor at Boston Garden. He left the game but returned midway through the third. He scored 14 points over the next 12 minutes. The Celtics would go on to win the game and the series, and Bird would finish with 32 points and 9 rebounds. Larry adding to the legend in the 91 playoffs. Larry Bird looking on this afternoon as president of the Pacers, wondering if his former Celtic franchise has another surprise in store for the Indiana Pacers as they're all tied at 35.
Well, and obviously this is an important game for both teams, but particularly for the Celtics. It gives them a little bit of confidence right now. They can get out of here, steal one, the first one. You know, they know that they're capable of doing some extraordinary things, as John Carroll likes to say.
You know, the thing about it, too, Len, is the fact that the Celtics didn't play well at the end. They had the 5-game losing streak. Then they won a game against Atlanta on Wednesday night. But, you know, March was their great month. They went 9-5 in March, had a key road win at Minnesota. And today, they played very well.
Well, again, so much for momentum if you're going to judge by at least this first half by the Celtics. You know, you lose 5 out of 6. People say you stumble into the playoffs. You got no momentum, but you got a little bit of time to adjust. And right now, the Celtics are playing their game.
Ricky Davis with 10 on the shot clock. Over Bender. Rebounded by Fred Jones, and then the outlet nearly stolen.
That's what the Celtics like to do. They try to turn you over, lead the NBA in forced turnovers.
Anthony Johnson, Harrington. Quick drive by Jones, and there's a look at the NBA slam dunk champ. And a foul.
Well, Fred Jones brings an awful lot of athleticism to the backcourt for the Pacers. Take a look at that quick first step. I mean, here's a young man, only played 19 games last season, but he's developed into an excellent on-ball defender. But more importantly, his athleticism makes it a difficult matchup on both ends.
Chris Min with the foul, and the recovery on the free throw miss. Jones sticks the 3.
And that's probably the greatest improvement to his game as we take a look here. Hunter and Jermaine O'Neal kind of mixing it up. And you can see right now, big Hunter, Brandon Hunter, trying to muscle O'Neal, and O'Neal takes exception.
And a timeout taken. Perhaps as tempers will cool. They call a loose ball foul on Brandon Hunter. And a technical foul on Jermaine O'Neal. The officials today, Bennett Salvatore, David Jones, and Scott Foster. There you see Bennett Salvatore talking it over with Jermaine O'Neal.
I mean, you look at the size of Brandon Hunter. You know, you need that toughness right there. You can take a look right here. Jermaine O'Neal, here's where it starts. This Hunter just keeps pushing him out, trying to muscle him. And right there, a little bit of contact. Hunter once again trying to push him out. This time he just pulls him away, throws him down.
You know what happened. John Carroll sends him in the game, and he says, look, put a body on O'Neal.
Oh, absolutely. That's what it's
so
about.
That's what he was doing.
It's about muscling, but that time Hunter got caught up, and, you know, the foul was called, but O'Neal retaliated, and that's the thing that the officials saw as well. You know, this is all about poise and composure right now. Jermaine O'Neal has to recognize he's a marked man, and when a guy like Brandon Hunter comes into the game, you know, he's got to be ready for those types of tactics.
And now O'Neal, Jermaine O'Neal on the free throw line.
I mean, just look at the size of Brandon Hunter. Big, wide body. You know he's going to put some muscle on you.
So this is a 4-point play opportunity now for the Pacers. The 3-point field goal knocked down by Jones, and now O'Neal on the free throw line after the loose ball foul was called. Jermaine O'Neal with 13 points in the contest. 42-36.
It's very important right now for the Celtics to continue to answer penetration and kick.
Yuri Welsh on the miss, and the rebound corralled by Harrington.
And the reason I say it's important because of the young players out there on the floor. You don't want to lose the distance as far as the score is concerned, because in this place particularly, the Pacers can score in a bunch.
O'Neal against Mims. Boy, Jermaine O'Neal has been locked on today. 15 points for him in the first half. And Boston wants time, and they're coming to their feet at Conseco. 9 of the last 10 scored by the Indiana Pacers to open up their biggest lead at 8.
Well, Bennett Salvatore had to come over. Jermaine O'Neal, you know, doing a little bit of demonstrating, and the officials had to cool him down.
Polite society tells us that it's rude to stare. But then along came the 2005 V6 Nissan Altima. With a new redesigned interior, a state-of-the-art navigation system and satellite radio, and a sleek, new refined exterior. So go ahead, stare. Frankly, it'd be rude not to.
So this is a great first date. Y'all look delicious. I mean, pretty. Sometimes they know me up in this joint. I pop a couple collars, you know.
Hello. Can I take your order?
Yeah, I'll have
Yeah,
that.
you can take my order. Let me get 3 number 5s, 12, 8.
You got an ear infection.
7. That's what Marvin wants. Yeah.
Unleash the Rocky Mountain cold taste of Coors Light.
This is my Subway salad, the new Atkins-friendly grilled chicken and baby spinach salad. Made fresh in front of me with chicken, garlic, almonds, all in a bed of baby spinach. And saying baby spinach is my new Lucky Charm, baby spinach. Oh, garlic almonds? Garlic almonds. My Subway salad, all the Subway fresh salads. It's what I eat when I want to eat fresh.
My love for you is strong. My desire for you is strong. I think of you day and night, every time I dunk and when I box up. I think me and you make nice couple. If I cannot make you mine, that would be so stink. Love, Vlade.
Of the NBA playoffs, brought to you by Nissan, who invite you to shift the way you move through the world. And Coors Light. Unleash the Rocky Mountain cold taste of Coors Light.
Welcome back to Indianapolis. The Pacers have their biggest lead at 44-36. A moment ago, some tempers flared between Jermaine O'Neal and rookie Brandon Hunter. And now you see Ron Artest, who was only suspended for 1 game this year, but he did come off the bench. He did come onto the floor.
But therein lies the difference in Ron Artest this year as opposed to last year. The model of restraint, only a few steps on the floor. Last year, he probably would have been in the fray.
And now he's a captain with the Pacers. Michelle.
Ricky Atkins, or Chucky Atkins rather, providing a lot for this Boston Celtic team, young Boston Celtic team, in that huddle, telling his team, look, that's what the playoffs are all about. They're going to have their runs. We've got to answer with our own runs. And he was up in everyone's face trying to keep this Celtics team believing, guys.
All right, Rick Carlisle's pretty much stayed with Anthony Johnson at the point as he came on for Jamal Tinsley in the first quarter, and Anthony Johnson delivers right there.
Well, Chucky Atkins had to get back on the floor for the Boston Celtics. Without him during that stretch, Boston only 2 of 10 or 2 of 9 from the field. They missed their last shot with Atkins on the floor. And on the other side, Indiana working very well with Jermaine O'Neal back on the floor.
And Reggie Miller and Ron Artest about to join him as they're at the scorer's table. Yuri Welsh flips the shot on O'Neal, and it's a shot clock violation as it didn't hit anything.
Well, the Pacers defense obviously far more active right now, extending and putting a lot of pressure on the ball, forcing the Celtics away from their sets. That's what they want to run, sets, until they get isolation. And with Paul Pierce on the floor, only one guy capable of breaking the defense down. And look at Jermaine O'Neal right here playing that strong defense. Mark Blount really not able to get anything started. And Welch You know, just can't get the ball to the basket. It's that strong stick-to-it defense that forces a shot clock violation.
Jamal Tinsley also came back in with Miller and Artest. Reggie Miller with 15 to shoot under the watchful eye of Ricky Davis. Seven on the shot clock for Artest. Opens things up for O'Neal. One of the rare misses for Jermaine O'Neal. The Pacers with this 10-point lead, their biggest. Halfway through the second quarter. Blount cleared by Harrington.
See, Blount can't settle for just a turnaround jump shot. You got to put pressure on the defender. Put it on the floor. Take it strong to the basket. That's what O'Neal's doing.
Harrington on the offensive rebound. Powers up inside. Al Harrington delivers.
And it was the penetration by Jermaine O'Neal that forced the defense to contract, giving Harrington a nice spot on the offensive glass to find himself.
And another timeout taken by the Celtics. As the Pacers have scored 13 of the last 14. This is a 22nd timeout for Boston. Indiana was down, but now on this 13-1 run has opened up a 12-point lead, its biggest.
And Jim, here again is where the challenge has to be accepted by the young players on the Celtics. We talked about at the beginning of the game, only 3 guys with any real playoff experience, and they're going to have to absorb the runs and find a way to come back and answer. And right now, again, having a lot of difficulty with Pierce and Atkins shut down. Other guys have to be able to step up and provide some points.
Those 3 that you alluded to, Len, were with Boston last year, and it's upset of Indiana in the first round. The 3 that remain, the front line of Pierce, Blount, and McCarty. Boston 2 out of 12 from the field in the second half. They missed their last 8. Off the inbounds, they find Chucky Atkins.
And here's what Chucky Atkins has to recreate what he did in the early moments, actually in the first quarter, where he scored 11 points, was very active offensively.
Pierce underneath, and Miller read the play. Tinsley had it knocked loose. O'Neal a recovery. The shot clock at 10. Artest guarded by Pierce with 3 to shoot. Off the hands of Harrington, but O'Neal is there for the pickup. And it's tipped in by Harrington, and a foul.
And once again, the inability to seal off the glass is really coming to haunt the Celtics. And it's usually off penetration where the defense steps up and allows the offensive rebounder to get good position. Once again, Jermaine O'Neal with that penetration. Look at the defenders paying a lot of attention to O'Neal and no attention to their own man, and Harrington just able to sneak underneath the basket. Look at him make that room right there, just push Brandon Hunter right out of the way to make that offensive rebounding space.
It was Hunter called for the foul. Harrington missing the free throw, but Tinsley ends up with it.
Tinsley tried to do his best to draw a foul with an act.
A 3 by Miller? Nope. Here comes Yuri Welsh. 4:38 for the half. The Pacers by 14, and Walter McCarty knocks out a 3. Jermaine O'Neal maybe having some kind of problem. Apparently it's not enough to warrant the stoppage of play, or is it? O'Neal with an open wound.
See it right there under his right eye. And he comes to the officials, and once again, he wants to plead his case about the unnecessary roughness going on out there, at least in his mind.
4:22 for the half. Stick around. We'll be back.
I submit to you Miller's Record. Miller Lite, the great tasting beer that's less filling. Miller Genuine Draft, a beer with genuine flavor that's cold filtered smooth. Clear beer. Well, Miller clearly has a history of progressive decision making, and I would ask the king of beers what he would say to that. Why won't my opponent debate this issue? Is it because he's a horse, or is it because he's got blinders on? No peripheral vision. Look at me. Both sides.
Choose taste. Miller, good call.
Before I felt controlled by cigarettes, everything I did revolved around them. Whether I went to the store before I went home, I'd have to make sure that I had enough cigarettes for the night. Whether I had matches to light those cigarettes. Before, it used to smell like an ashtray. It doesn't smell like smoke. Now it smells like my shampoo, which smells pretty good, actually. Kind of fruity. Yeah. I'm not just constantly thinking about cigarettes and not dependent on it anymore.
11 p.m. It's Albert and Ben. 2:10. What's up with your friend? It's 3:42. That girl rocks. She's got more skills than you. Now it's 5:38. Thoughts of McGriddles make my stomach quake. For bacon, eggs, and cheese on sweet griddle cakes. Only takes one hand to put them all in my face. McDonald's, I'm loving it. McGriddles, breakfast for you, bedtime snack for me.
One night, some lawyers snuck into your home and made you sign a contract dictating that you have to be a mature, sedan-driving adult. The bad news, that really is your signature on the contract. The good news, there's a loophole. No one said it has to be boring. It can be fun. It can be gorgeous. It can be fast. That's the loophole. Huh.
Welcome back to the 2004 NBA playoffs on ESPN.
We're back out in Times Square, and the populace has joined us in just moments on the Toyota Halftime Show. We will break down Game 2 of our quadruple header. Nets and Knicks, that's on the way. And, guys, what should we expect in that game?
You should expect to see Stephon Marbury completely attack Jason Kidd, try to find out whether he's ready to deal with him.
That's what I'm looking for, is watching Stephon Marbury. It's been like an animal when he sees Jason Kidd on the floor.
You know, those two, if healthy, offset each other. What about Kenyon Martin and his health? Can he have an impact?
All right, Game 2 coming up at 4:30 Eastern. But as I said, we'll have a preview in just moments on the Toyota Halftime Show. Right now, let's go back to Conseco and Jim Durham.
All right, Kevin, and the physicality picking up here in Game 1 as Jermaine O'Neal has been the brunt of the attack.
Well, obviously the Celtics have to find a way to compete on the boards. You see Yuri Welsh with the elbow right underneath or right above Jermaine O'Neal's right eye. But you know what? This playoff basketball. You know, you're going to have to face that intensity, and particularly after last year when O'Neal dominated at his position. You know, they got to find a way to neutralize, and they're going to do it with physical play.
Ron Artest with 6 on the clock. The interior pass knocked loose. Recovered by Harrington.
That was much too easy. First of all, just a half-baked effort at the ball, a loose ball. And secondly, when Harrington got possession, nobody stepped up to block his path to the basket. And that's what we mean by matching intensity. Celtics have to do it or they're in a world of hurt.
Harrington off the run out with the jam. Al Harrington, who got his hand in and popped the ball loose, gives the Indiana Pacers their biggest lead at 15. Chucky Atkins with Tinsley on it. Atkins works around a pick by Pierce. The floater won't go, but a foul puts him on the line.
And again, that's what Atkins did in the first quarter, and that's what kept the Celtics in the basketball game. But when Atkins went to the bench, not a lot of leadership out there on the floor, not a lot of breakdown capability when the Pacer defense is set, and that's really hurt them. And now the Pacers have momentum, and it's going to be really difficult for the Celtics to be able to close that lead unless Chucky Atkins continues to get involved in the way that he just did.
Hasn't scored in the second quarter and rattles the free throw in. That foul on Jamal Tinsley, his second. Chucky Atkins with 12 points in the game. As you see, 4 out of 5 from the field, but all of those shot attempts in the first quarter. That brings the C's to within 13 with 3.5 minutes left.
You know, if you're Boston, you're just looking to close the gap a little bit. A couple of put-together stops and conversions on the other end. But most importantly, they've got to cover that offensive glass.
Artest felt the bump. He offered the shot and got it. And the foul is on Pierce.
And Pierce looks at Artest and says, wait a second, I'm usually the one that does that. We talked about the key matchup, two competitors. Here it is. You saw the little bump just to make enough room and separation. And two guys, and Larry Bird, boy, that was probably more demonstrative than I've seen him in a long time.
They're in the NBA Finals a few years ago, and I don't know if he even did that. So Artest completes the three-point play. It's 57-41.
Danny Ainge, uncharacteristically stoic. Usually you can tell what's going on by looking at that face.
22-6 run by the Pacers has put them up. Mark Blount underneath in heavy traffic. And the ball is out of bounds to Boston with 6 on the shot clock.
Boy, what a terrific job of the Pacers to seal Blount down low, not even giving him any airspace to get the ball up to the rim.
Tell you what, this Indiana team defensively, everyone talks about Detroit, as we should, because they probably play the most suffocating defense in the league. Can you imagine, should we have an Eastern Conference Detroit-Indiana final? That's Harrington on the rejection of Blount. There'll be scores in the 60s.
Well, I actually had the pleasure of watching those two teams play a couple of weeks ago, and the play was in the 60s and 70s. But look at this block right here. Harrington just from the weak side. Blount, you got to take that ball up a heck of a lot stronger than that. See, Blount goes up with the one hand and shows it to Harrington, and Harrington knows exactly what to do. If you're not going to come strong, you just can't come.
4 blocks by the Pacers so far. The Celtics will come in with only 2 on the shot clock. Comes in, Pierce gets it right back. And that's a tough shot there, and it's a 24-second clock violation. Nothing is coming uncontested now. The Pacers are really turning the screws defensively.
And that's what we mean by time and score situation. I mentioned it for the Celtics on the offensive end, how they had to stop taking a quick shot and start building on a little bit of a lead. They failed to do that. Pacers got some momentum, but the Pacers know what to do with a lead, both defensively and obviously on offense. Go to their strengths.
O'Neal had it stripped away. Yuri Welch tries to split the defenders, and he's fouled out front.
That was one of the other things the Pacers were able to do up until that point, and that was prevent the Celtics from getting into transition, slowed the game down, and made it a half-court game.
Tinsley picking up his 3rd foul, goes out with Anthony Johnson in. Jamal Tinsley with an interesting story. He had the point guard spot handed to him his rookie year. Then he lost it.
Well, here's a guy again just waiting for the opportunity to play, and he took full advantage of it this year.
Chucky Atkins. And the rebound cleared by Artest. The Indiana Pacers 61 wins during the regular season, and they're off to a great start here in the playoffs, and off the ball we get a whistle.
And see, right now the Celtics are trying to play a more physical brand of defense. That time on the bump of Reggie Miller on the cut, but at the end of the day, you've got to begin your game playing that kind of defense. Allow the officials to adjust or force them to adjust to your brand of basketball. You know, you can't all of a sudden in the middle of the game get aggressive. You're going to get called for it, and that's what's happening to the Celtics right now. Again, you see Welch just trying to keep Reggie Miller off of that pin down, keep him from being able to utilize that, but you've got to establish that early in the game, allow the officials to get comfortable with your aggression. Do it in the middle of the game, you're going to get called because the officials have already established the way they want to call this one.
Welch on that foul, his 2nd. Reggie Miller, as you see his career numbers in the playoffs. You know, he still does what he's always done, and he does it very well. He just doesn't do it as often.
Yeah,
you know, his 3-point percentage over 40%. He's the 5th best free throw shooter in the league.
And that's what you mean by accepting your role. I mean, here's a guy, star quality, Hall of Fame caliber, but recognizes this team has to grow if he steps aside a little bit and allows Ron Artest or Jermaine O'Neal to step to the forefront. And he's very happy doing it.
Ron Artest called for that foul that puts Pierce on the line. Paul Pierce hasn't scored in the 2nd quarter and has his first here in the 2nd quarter. Let's check in with Michelle Tafoya.
Well, Paul Pierce has had a big impact on Ricky Davis, who came here after leaving the Clevelands. He's a bit of a controversial player. Paul Pierce says he's one of those players you either love or you hate. I love him. I love his energy and his potential. He just needs to mature some. And he said that this is going to be a big offseason for him, that he hopes to be a big brother, Pierce does, to Ricky Davis, to teach him right from wrong on the court and to get him to be just a little bit more of a team player. He doesn't always carry out what the coaches ask, guys.
O'Neal underneath had it knocked away from him, out of bounds.
And boy, Ricky Davis so gifted, particularly on the offensive end. Paul Pierce, that's a bit of leadership on his part, recognizing the value of Ricky Pierce as a teammate. And I think Pierce will definitely benefit because Pierce has had to, over the couple of years, mature and understand what this game is about and the role that he plays.
You know, it's one thing you're playing for Cleveland and never getting to the playoffs. Another thing, you go to Boston, they expect you to get there. O'Neal. Loose ball recovery to Pierce, and on the run out, it's Atkins. O'Neal the rebound.
And again, great recovery by the Pacers. Even though Atkins got a clear shot to the basket, no foul, made it very difficult.
Artest is fouled. And that will get him at the line as the Pacers continue to pound it inside.
Well, the Celtics just continually missing opportunities on that last fast break. They should have gotten a much better opportunity to the basket than they did.
Mark Blount called for that foul, sending Artest to the line. That's 3 fouls on Blount.
Again, in that breakaway situation, there's the pass, but look how quickly Anthony Johnson gets back defensively, just gets his body in the way. And Danny Ainge got to be disappointed. Just a little bit.
Danny Ainge coach John Carroll has had to go to Michael Stewart as he checks in for the first time to replace Blount with those 3 fouls. So that pounding it inside by Indiana having its effect on the foul situation of the Celtics.
And that's what they're capable of doing with the strength that they have in Harrington and Jermaine O'Neal. Just wear you down, get into your bench to see what your big men, the second and third line, are made of.
And that ball was poked away by Harrington. This is Artest trying to finish. 17 first half points for Ron Artest. He's got 10 in the second quarter. And the Pacers have blown it open. Less than a minute to go in the half. Pierce missing. And the loose ball tracked down by Artest.
And the Celtics going back to the things that were detrimental to them. Spread the floor one-on-one. No regard for the other guys on the floor.
There's another foul call on the inside. This one is on Stewart, who just came in. Michael Stewart with his first foul. And the Pacers get back to the free throw line.
I think Stewart got the same marching orders as did Brandon Hunter. Got to put a body on somebody. And they're just a little too much body.
And Chucky Atkins was teed up as well for Boston.
Well, Chucky Atkins, we talked about him being a holler guy. Michelle alluded to, you know, his presence in the huddle earlier in the game. But you can't be a holler guy out on the floor, particularly if the target of your frustration is the official. You got to be able to rein that one in, not give up any more easy points.
Reggie Miller making the technical. 8 points for Miller. Jermaine O'Neal on the free throw line to shoot 2. He is 3 for 4 from the line. O'Neal with 15 points, as you see, and 6 rebounds to go along with it.
Talk about Jermaine O'Neal, and you saw the shooting percentage. They're 6 of 16. I mean, those points that he's scored, they haven't been soft points. He's had to work for it. And again, having the big bodies, be it Blount, Stewart, and Brandon Hunter, he's had to deal with. He's got his share of souvenirs that cut over his eye and getting hit and banged to the floor.
O'Neal puts the Pacers up by 22 on a 30-8 run by Indiana here in the second quarter.
And it's been a lightning blitz by the Pacers. They've done it defensively. They've come on the offensive end and really exploited their strengths. And the Celtics have played into it as well. They haven't been able to execute nearly as well as they did in the first quarter.
Walter McCarty turned it over, stepping on the inline, making the drive. Indiana forcing another turnover. And now the Pacers can have the final say in the half. No shot clock involved. And Rick Carlisle wants him to put it in the spread. Open up the middle. 30-8 for the Pacers here in the second quarter. And on a cut inside by Johnson, the pass to him finds him out of bounds when he received it.
That was actually a good look by Ron Artest. AJ, when you get to the basket and you're cutting, even though you're setting the pick, you got to be ready.
Fred Jones comes in to replace Reggie Miller for the final 7 seconds of the half. Foster trying to get to the scorer's table in time, and he does, replacing Jermaine O'Neal.
Good job by Rick Carlisle to get Foster in the game quickly, keep O'Neal from picking up any unnecessary foul, and give him a head start on some reps.
Chucky Atkins going coast to coast, and the rebound to Foster. As the first half comes to an end at Conseco, hard to believe it was a one-point game at the end of one.
Well, again, it was the Pacers swarming defense, taking Atkins and Pierce out of the game. But it's the turnovers as well as allowing the Pacers control their tempo in a half-court, grind it out.
Coming up on the Toyota Halftime Show, Kevin Frazier and crew in the studio with a preview of the Knicks and Nets coming next. And, of course, you always got to look at that wild, wild West. The Indiana Pacers hit the dressing room with a 22-point lead.
I'm Lynn, and I use Yahoo Hot Jobs. I'm a recruiter at a major aerospace company.
I am Robert on Yahoo Fantasy Sports.
We do aerospace and defense type work.
You have to have defense.
I have postings for facilities specialists.
I usually go with a quarterback.
Weapons designers.
Or running back.
Engineers.
You gotta have a balanced team.
Our company is about protecting America.
You wanna play some ball, and let's play some ball.
Job engine, sports engine, life engine. Yahoo! It's a life engine.
At Progressive, we think car insurance claims should be easy. That's why we assign you a dedicated claims representative to help you from start to finish, so you always know what's going on with your claim. We even guarantee repairs for as long as you own your car. For over 65 years, we've been changing the way people think about car insurance, with great rates and personal helpful claim service. Visit Progressive.com or call 1-800-PROGRESSIVE. Think easier. Think Progressive.
Polite society tells us that it's rude to stare. But then along came the 2005 V6 Nissan Altima. With a new redesigned interior, a state-of-the-art navigation system and satellite radio, and a sleek, new, refined exterior. So go ahead, stare. Frankly, it'd be rude not to.
So I bought a grill last summer, and when I got it home, it didn't work like I thought it would. And then it fell apart, which really bummed me out. But this year, I bought a Weber grill, because they don't skimp on construction, and it comes with at least a 5-year, 50,000 burger warranty. And that's a lot of burgers. Log on to Weber.com and learn what makes a great gas grill.
The heavyweight division is up for grabs with 2 titles on the line in one night. Bird risks it all against Galata, and Ruiz stakes his belt against Oquendo in a Latino showdown. Bird versus Galata, Ruiz versus Oquendo, plus a welterweight championship extra, Mayorga versus Rivera, live on pay-per-view from Madison Square Garden. It's a heavyweight night. Let the next era begin.
Baby Ruth, the real deal, has crunchy, whole roasted peanuts. The real deal has chewy nougat. The real deal has rich, creamy caramel. Because whether you're the man in the middle, the guy between the pipes, or a great tasting candy bar, being the real deal is about what's on the inside. Baby Ruth from Nestle, the real deal.
Welcome to the Toyota Halftime Show.
The Indiana Pacers closed the half on a 30-8 run. Whoops. Close game, a very different game now. 65-43 at the half. Pacers on top. Welcome once again to Times Square, and we take a look at the McDonald's NBA brackets, hanging out right in the heart of Times Square. And Those are the brackets, and the only place you can see NBA playoff basketball today is on ESPN. All right, guys, let's get right into the mix. And very quickly, your thoughts on this game, Bill.
Well, Stephen and I both knew it would be 20-plus points. We didn't think it'd be the first half, though.
Well, we may very well be looking at the world champion for this season, the Indiana Pacers. I think they have a legit chance.
For this game.
Wow. Can I have an opinion, please? Thank you.
I wouldn't go that far. However, like I told you, it was going to be a blowout.
Game's not over yet, guys.
I don't care.
Damn.
We're getting ready also for Game 2, and that's the Nets and the Knicks coming up at 4:30 Eastern. Do you know the last team that won an NBA championship a year after they went to the NBA Finals, Bill?
The Detroit Pistons. But we only lost once. New Jersey's lost twice. They've had their chance.
Well, there are people out there who believe they still have a chance. Let's check in with Mike Tirico over in New Jersey right now for a preview.
Kevin, thank you from where you are. A couple of blocks in Madison Square Garden. Across the river to the Meadowlands, East Rutherford, New Jersey. 9.2 miles. Continental Airlines Arena hosted the NBA Finals and the Stanley Cup Finals last year. Start the playoff run for 04 with a great guard matchup. Why not? It's a New York story where point guards are born and made and legends happen. Stephon Marbury and Jason Kidd trying to cement their future. As you see, Kidd has won so many playoff series, especially with the Nets the last 2 years. Marbury looking for his first series win with George Karl and Tom Tolbert. Take each guy, and you start with Jason, Coach.
Well, Jason Kidd right now, his health is probably the most important thing. How healthy is he? They struggled the last 2 months of the season with a 12-14 record, and the big key is how healthy Jason Kidd is. Can they get their running game back? Can they get their fire, their fervor for the game of basketball back? The good thing is they're 9-1 since Jason Kidd joined the Nets against the New York Knicks.
Man, on the other side with the Knicks, Stephon Marbury is going to have a huge series for them to have a chance here. With Allen Houston out, at least for the early part of the series, he's going to have to get in there, distribute the ball, shoot the ball. Hey, we know he's an all-star. We know he puts up monster numbers. Now it's time to kind of start cementing your legacy, and you do that in the playoffs.
Respect, legacy. There are so many storylines in this series. Two teams that changed coaches this year, have dealt with significant injuries. But it doesn't matter what happened before. It matters what happens on the floor. And it gets started in a little bit from the Jersey side with the Knicks against the Nets.
All right, looking forward to the Nets and Knicks. That's Game 2 of our quadruple header, and we'll be here all night long. 4:30 Eastern is tip time, but what should we expect?
Well, I'm tired of hearing about all the injuries. I mean, let's just go play the game. You know, I want to see Stephon Marbury just attack Jason Kidd.
I don't know what he's talking about again. I think it's going to be a great series because there is obviously an inherent rivalry between the two teams. Both will be fired up. Both will want to put on a good show.
I'm interested in seeing Marbury go at Kidd. He feels that he's the better point guard. He's always been a better point guard than Jason Kidd, and this is his first opportunity to truly prove that in a head-to-head matchup. I'm looking forward to it.
All right, we're excited about that game. Meanwhile, the Pacers going at the Celtics in the first half of this game. So far, Ron Artest and crew rolling. Coming up, we will preview the West, and we asked a couple of big-name stars, how do you stop Shaquille O'Neal?
If I had to guard Shaq, one word, Mace.
I would pants him until he got so mad he had to hit me and we both got kicked out of the game.
This halftime show is presented by the all-new Toyota Tundra Double Cab. Not just big, life-sized. Introducing the all-new Toyota Tundra Double Cab. Not just big, life-sized.
Are you Brad? I'm Alex.
No, it's not Brad.
Blind date.
Sorry, Alex.
Hey, you must be Brad.
Oh, yeah.
I'm Alex.
New Smirnoff Ice Triple Black Premium Malt Beverage.
So, what is your name?
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Tom Clancy's Splinter Cell, Pandora tomorrow. Rated T for Teen.
Oh, man, there's a line.
Spurs Pro Style. Shirts and pants that do it all.
Hey, baby, it's me, Gary Payton. You know I dream about being with you every night. I left behind my job, my friends. I even took a pay cut. And do you know what houses cost around here? And I did it all for you. The glove has got the love. Come with me, baby. Show me a sign.
My friend.
I moved to Earthlink because my wireless connection goes where I do.
We moved because I can be online and she won't miss a call. It's for me.
I moved because I can have high speed at home and still get email wherever I go.
I moved to Earthlink because they help keep online intruders out.
I moved to Earthlink because their customer service gets it right the first time.
Different people, different passions, different reasons for moving to Earthlink. From an array of access options to an assortment of protection tools. What will your reasons be? Call 1-800-747-6491 and get 6 months of dial-up service featuring Earthlink Accelerator at half price.
I'm with Earthlink because they revolved around me for 10 years.
Celebrate 10 years of Earthlink making the internet better. Performance, control, protection. Choose the internet that's right for you. Call, go online, or visit these retailers and get 6 months of dial-up service featuring Earthlink Accelerator at half price. Move to Earthlink. It revolves around you.
Welcome back to the Toyota Halftime Show.
Welcome back to Times Square. Is that a man with udders on the front of his cow costume? That's Times Square. Meanwhile, in the heartland of America, the Indiana Pacers proving that they are the team to beat in the East. Hey, later tonight, this is after we see the Nets and Knicks and Sports Center. It's the Grizzlies and Spurs at 8 p.m. Eastern, followed by the Rockets and Lakers. Yao versus Shaq, and this time it's in the playoffs, so it'll be good. All right, guys, let's talk about those games. Let's start with Memphis and the Spurs, and what do we expect to see in that game, Bill?
Tim Duncan. He's the one that's going to really carry the show for the Spurs.
I think Manu Ginobili and Tony Parker are really going to be the keys. We know about the consistency of Tim Duncan. Those two guys have to step it up.
I've got all my eyes on Jason Williams simply because I want to see how he's going to respond when Tony Parker drops about 20 or 29 on him.
All right, a second game, Rockets and Lakers. And let me give you a chance to recant because I think you made a mistake during NBA shoot-around. Who's going to win this series?
Rockets in 6.
Okay.
Because of Yao.
How are they going to win it?
Yao.
Okay. Wow.
Greg.
I think the Lakers win this series. Again, I don't think Houston's really mentally ready for what the playoffs bring, and that's something that only experience can give you.
Lakers in 6, but I don't understand what's wrong with Bill Lambert.
It's confusing. I mean,
I don't understand it.
And you know what?
Something's wrong with him.
You can't hate a team that much that impairs your judgment.
He has been working. He has been working hard all day. He's been sweating profusely.
When's the last time any of you won an NBA championship, please?
When's the last time you won one?
Thank you.
When's the last time you won
1990.
Well, this is a new
I got 2.
Excuse me.
Two trophies.
I'm a journalist. That doesn't apply to me.
That's right.
Ring on it.
I'm a journalist. That doesn't apply to me.
WNBA ring now? Is that what you're showing?
I got one of those too.
Wow.
This halftime show is presented by the all-new Toyota Tundra Double Cab. Not just big, life-sized. Introducing the all-new Toyota Tundra Double Cab. Not just big, life-sized.
Got athlete's foot? Think fast. Lamisil AT cures athlete's foot with just 1 week's use. If you use Tenactin or Lotrimin AF, you'll be treating for 4 long weeks. But 1 week with Lamisil AT keeps you athlete's foot free for 3 months. There's no better way to cure athlete's foot.
Get excited about chicken again with Wendy's new Ultimate Chicken Grill. A bigger, juicier whole chicken breast filet with a delicious new sweet and savory sauce and incredibly only 7 grams of fat. Wendy's Ultimate Chicken Grill, just one of our 3 new Chicken Temptation sandwiches. It's better here.
What's cold? Cool as life, fast breaks and steals. What's cold? 3-on-1, that's when the game get real. What's cold? Slapping backboards, dunking and breaking glass. No-look passes, throwing elbows and talking trash. If you weak, then have a seat. You need to get off the court. Life's cold, but ain't no place for you in this here sport. Ice cold, frostbitten and shivering. It's cold like that, and you could either watch it or live it.
Unleash the Rocky Mountain cold taste of Coors Light.
Somebody once said, everyone will get 15 minutes of fame. Some insurance companies seem to think that that's all you need. But at Allstate, they think 15 minutes may not be enough. That's why they'll take as much time as you need so you can make sure your insurance coverage is right. You deserve more time in the spotlight. That's Allstate stand. Are you in good hands?
Every investor wants to get ahead. Every investor has a destination. The job at Janus is getting every investor closer. Janus is delivering, pushing hard for performance, offering more investment choices. Janus is working to earn every investor's confidence, every step of the way. Get there. Janus Capital Group.
That woman deserves her revenge, and we deserve to die.
Kill Bill Volume 2, rated R, now playing everywhere.
Now, I don't want to scare anyone, but with thinning hair, you could end up looking like this. It's not a good thing.
Get new V for Men thickening shampoo for up to 50% thicker looking hair for better scalp coverage. New V for Men by L'Oreal Paris.
Halftime at Indianapolis. Things looking good for the Pacers. They are rolling, a 22-point lead. Jim Durham with Len Elmore. Glad to have you back with us as we get ready to start the second half. No question, Len, what it was all about in the first half. What's up front that counts. And the Pacers were able to get things going on the inside and were able to stop Boston on the inside.
Well, they certainly were. And the Celtics had some success early in taking the tempo and playing that full court type of game. But the Celtics, again, having difficulty against a defense that really contests just about everything. And you saw there, not anyone getting easy looks and asserting their dominance inside the paint. Jermaine O'Neal has had to work for his shot, but still in all, he's been able to get him in the paint, putting the ball on the floor, going to the basket strong. That's been the Pacers' trademark in this particular game.
Jermaine O'Neal, you talked about it. He's had to work for his basket, 6 out of 16, but he scored 16 points and had 6 rebounds. And Ron Artest with 17 points to lead Indiana in scoring in the first half. Before we go to the third, let's check in with Michelle Tafoya.
I talked to John Carroll coming out of the Boston locker room, and he said, you know, I told my team we played a great first quarter, really a great first 14 to 15 minutes. The second quarter, he said, we were horrible. He reminded him it's a 7-game series. They've got to play a great third and fourth. It might not be enough to win this game, but he wants them to try to stay in it. He thought their biggest breakdown, though, was defense in the post, guys.
All right, the third quarter underway. Boston in possession, and Yuri Welsh has his first points of the game.
And that's a good start, obviously, for Boston. Not so much, obviously, the points, but being able to get other people involved. And as Michelle spoke to the fact that, again, the weakness in the post, 28 points in the paint for the Pacers. They've really established their size and strength advantage.
Indiana turning it over in its first possession. The 22-point halftime lead was the biggest lead for Indiana in the first half. They led by just 1 at the quarter and outscored Boston 35-14 in that second quarter.
And if you're John Carroll, what you'd like to see from your team is tougher post defense and also screening off the glass, keep Indiana from getting second chance points.
Pacers do that very well. That's not out of the ordinary for them. Quick drive to the base by Tinsley. O'Neal has to track down the loose ball. Now they got 10 to shoot. And it's Tinsley connecting out of the corner for his first points of the game. A 3-point goal for Jamal Tinsley. Pierce with Artest on him. Welsh with a fake pass, Miller. And the rebound to Foster.
Just a good defensive sequence by Indiana, not allowing the big guys in Pierce or inside Blount able to touch the ball, forcing Welsh to be the guy.
Artest with a nice setup for Foster.
When you move the ball like that, it's so difficult to defend inside the paint. The defensive rotation comes and a nice quick pass before the rotation can cover the cutter.
Chucky Atkins gets inside. The pass to Blount out of bounds. Indiana has it.
First half, Indiana, nice ball movement. And again here, the softer penetration. Artest doesn't even put it on the floor. He just finds his man.
Looking for cutters here, and he finds O'Neal.
Celtics right now have given up. You can look at the body language. Guys are frustrated, and they're just, right now, just going through the motions.
After being competitive early, Boston now down 27. Pierce attacks, and it's a blocking foul that'll put Paul Pierce on the line.
Again, even off penetration, and with this big lead, the Indiana Pacers continue to play that strong defense. See O'Neal step over there, pretty close to being able to draw the foul.
2 fouls on Jermaine O'Neal, and what we have is a great example of a 1-8 seed right now.
Oh, absolutely. And when I mentioned the fact that the Celtics appear to have quit on the offensive end, sure. I mean, that's instinct when a guy like Paul Pierce gets the ball, drives to the basket with a lane. It's on the defensive end where the effort has to be expended that you don't see any effort from the Celtics.
2 missed free throws for Pierce. Jamal Tinsley runs the show for Indiana. The Pacers, who won the season series 3-1 from Boston, in command here in the third. Artest. The Celtics get a stop that time. Pierce spins in. Artest with a block. Pierce a recovery. Ooh, looked like Pierce cleared out. Welsh off the drive, and his shot is blocked at the rim.
Well, even when you're trying to take it to the basket strong and you continually get it blocked, that's just got to take an awful lot out of you.
Reggie Miller finds O'Neal. His shot blocked, but a foul called on Blount, and that's 4 fouls on Blount.
Talked about the matchup. One of the premier defenders in the league against one of the best offensive players, and that time it was the defense that had the advantage. And Ron Artest, one of the best on-ball defenders in the National Basketball Association, not yielding an inch.
Jermaine O'Neal making the free throw. A little of this and that from the foul line for him today. He's 4 of 7. Here's how much the Celtics have paid for the interior attack of Indiana. I've got 10 fouls called on Blount, Hunter, Stewart, and Mim combined. All their interior players getting in foul trouble.
Well, and you know what? They're going to continue to try to body up and try to stop that interior attack from Indiana. That's the only way they can do it, but they've got to do it smartly, and a lot of it has to do with ball pressure, not allow the ball to get inside so easily. That's a nice execution right there by Pierce.
I can't remember the last time they scored on a play like that, going inside and scoring like Blount over O'Neal did.
Straight post up.
Miller. Pierce with the rebound, upended by Foster.
And now going back to the Celtics, they've seen that they could make a couple of stops. There's a newfound enthusiasm on the defensive end. Just when I said they quit, they've brought it back up.
Say fans, log on to NBA.com and play Virtual GM Postseason Edition. Pick your fantasy team, try to beat Bill Walton's score, and be eligible for great prizes. Virtual GM Postseason Edition only on NBA.com. Kicked away by the Celtics, and the Pacers have it. With a 27-point lead and 7:45 left in the third. Artest finding O'Neal. Artest with a fade. Blount with the rebound.
And that's what it's about in this game. Again, the Celtics with another stop, another opportunity to close this gap.
Walter McCarty on the miss, and O'Neal with the rebound.
But that's not the way to do it. Again, isolation, one-on-one. We talked about it before. The opportunity to get the ball in the post, force the defense to do some things. The Celtics just didn't seize that opportunity. And on the other end, give up a very easy basket.
That's 5 points for Jamal Tinsley, all in the third. Back to a 29-point lead for the Pacers and less than 7 minutes to go in this quarter. Game 2 in this series comes up Tuesday night. So the Celtics will have some time to reflect if, in fact, they don't get back in this. Chucky Atkins, who was hot early, connects on his third three-pointer of the game.
And upon reflection, that's the guy that they need to really be assertive off.
And Rick Carlisle wants a timeout. We got 6:24 left in the third.
Introducing the Chevy Equinox.
Give it to me, give me a stop.
Every garage will want one. An American Revolution.
Submit to you Miller's Record. Miller Lite, the great tasting beer that's less filling. Miller Genuine Draft, a beer with genuine flavor that's cold filtered smooth. Clear beer. Well, Miller clearly has a history of progressive decision making, and I would ask the king of beers what he would say to that. Why won't my opponent debate this issue? Is it because he's a horse, or is it because he's got blinders on? No peripheral vision. Look at me. Both sides.
Choose taste. Miller. Good call.
My life, my job, my curse is to vanquish evil.
The night falls. The moon rises. The hunt begins.
Who's hunting whom?
On May 7th, adventure has a new name. Van Helsing. PG-13 starts Friday, May 7th.
This copyrighted telecast of the National Basketball Association may not be retransmitted, reproduced, rebroadcast, or otherwise distributed or used in any form without the express written consent of the NBA.
ESPN's presentation of the NBA playoffs, brought to you by the new Chevrolets. 10 new cars and trucks in 20 months. An American Revolution. And Miller. Vote Miller for president of beers. Good call.
The Circle in downtown Indianapolis, the Soldiers and Sailors Memorial there. The Pacers up by 24. Jim Durham with Len Elmore and Michelle Tafoya. Michelle.
Well, Jim, we've talked about how inexperienced a playoff team this Boston Celtics team is. Not only some of the players who are just inexperienced, but inexperienced as a group playing together. John Carroll said, I don't think some of these guys really have a clue what's going to hit them. It's a difficult thing. They've heard about it from the other players, but I don't think until you actually get into the playoffs and see the intensity level ratchet up several notches, do you really get it. And Len, you would know that not only do they need to get that experience themselves, but they need to learn how to do it together.
Absolutely, and that's what it's about. You need to know what the other guys in the bunker are going to do, how they're going to respond to adversity. And right now, the Celtics seem to be feeling themselves. At that point when I said that they quit for several possessions, a lot of that had to do with nobody stepping up, really assuming any leadership out there on the floor.
And they're running out of time here. Pierce under pressure, and it's another shot clock violation. Ron Artest doing a good job defensively on Paul Pierce.
And that just epitomizes the basic philosophy of this Indiana Pacer team, defense first.
5.5 for the third. Artest out to Tinsley. A repost to Artest against Pierce. Went with the lefty that time, and Foster with a putback.
Yeah, there's Jeff Foster once again on the offensive glass. Excellent offensive rebounder. 8th in the league in total offensive rebounds. He always finds a spot. Try to get that second chance opportunity.
And off the ball, a foul called on Pierce.
Again, a model of frustration. Artest just hanging around, making it real difficult. Artest helped it a little bit. There's Welsh with that screen. And that's what the call was.
A foul on Welsh, you're right. 3 fouls on Welsh. Tinsley no good from 3. And Pierce the rebound as the Celtics have got to get moving. They're down 26. And Pierce attacking the hoop, draws the foul, and he goes to the line.
And look at the subtle messages being conveyed right here in the last couple of possessions. Welsh setting a hard screen, letting folks know that he's still in the game and will continue to do that. And here on the drive, putting Pierce to the ground right here. And Artest doesn't even turn to help him up, acknowledges the foul. But that's telling Paul Pierce that, you know, you're not going to have it easy despite the deficit. I'm not letting up one bit.
Ricky Davis returns for Boston. Yuri Welsh is out. Paul Pierce, who missed 2 the last time at the line, drops them both this time, back to a 24-point game.
You know, you expect with a 20-point-plus lead that the defense is going to let up a little bit, but not with this Pacer team.
Anthony Johnson, Miller finding Artest. The pass picked off by Davis. Atkins. Chucky Atkins from outside.
And boy, you just wonder, where was Chucky Atkins in the second quarter when the Celtics had their misery on the offensive end? Because he has really lit it up throughout the day when he's been assertive offensively.
He's got 18 points. He had 11 in the first quarter. Artest under pressure. And the loose ball recovered by Harrington.
And Walter McCarty's looking at the official saying, where's the foul? But man, when you're down 25 or so points, you know, you take nothing for granted.
Harrington finding Artest. Pierce has closed him out with 9 to shoot. Artest still gets it away. Hit the side edge. Harrington with a follow. Hasn't hit the rim yet, and finally recovered by Boston. Pierce called for the offensive foul.
What a smart play by Al Harrington. You know he's been in the video room checking out tendencies. Just an excellent job with Pierce coming right at him. Watch him just step and take away the right hand. Pierce kind of gave him a little juke, looked as though he was going to go left, and watch him go right. Harrington just steps in. That's reading the scouting report.
And that's 2 fouls on Pierce. Fred Jones back in for the Pacers. That's Fred Jones handling it there. Nothing doing on the lean in, and Harrington missed on the tip, and both thought they were fouled. The Pacers, who led by 22 at the half, have been up by as many as 29 and lead by 22 now. Underneath is Blount, and a foul called in the act of shooting. Al Harrington called for the foul. Al Harrington, who had 10 points in the first half of this game for a new playoff career high.
And boy, it's important for Al Harrington to continue to establish himself. As we mentioned earlier, 9 playoff games prior to this one, only averaged about close to 3 points and 3 rebounds.
And less than 20% from the field.
But you know, on that last possession by the Celtics, that's where they're at their best, when they spread the floor and they get some ball movement instead of the isolation situations where they're trying to take some pretty good defenders one-on-one off the bounce.
The 2 free throws by Blount continue to chip away at the lead. It's back to 20 as the Celtics have scored 11 of the last 13. Johnson around a pick by Harrington. Has an open look. And Walter McCarty, the Celtics rebound.
The It's amazing what a little bit of success will do, particularly on the defensive end for the Celtics. Again, much more animated than they were in the beginning of this half.
Pierce, who's prone to turnovers, coughs it up there. It's Johnson feeding Artest.
And just when you build some momentum, they just snatch it right back from you, the Pacers do.
Ron Artest has 19. And a foul call that'll put Atkins on the free throw line when we come back. 2:23 left in the third. It's still Indiana up big.
Street truck, extended cab, and crew cab. Introducing the 15 new Chevy Colorados. The most mid-sized trucks ever unleashed. Chevy Colorados. An American revolution.
In this competition, there's no room to lose. So facing the opposition is what I'ma do. I got 24 seconds to live, and 200% is what I'm gonna give. So I push through the pain and raise my game. A victory is the only thing to gain. So I take it to the hole, drive it up your lane. I do it for the love, do it for the game. Even though I'm playing the game, I ain't playing. The trophy is the reason why I came. Let's get it started. Yeah, let's get it started.
This is Superstation WGN. Superstation WGN is the home of the sports you can't live without.
I love you, Molly.
The stars you love.
I've always loved you.
The action you want. Get it here. The comedies you crave. So when you see this, you get movies, action, comedy, and sports. All in one place. Superstation WGN. If you haven't experienced Showtime HD, you're missing out. Order Showtime in high definition and you'll see Hollywood's biggest hits the way they were meant to be seen. The best picture quality available. And Dolby Digital sound. Bring the movie theater experience home with high-def movies, original series, boxing, and explosive live events. It's time to get Showtime in high definition.
Part of Showtime Unlimited. Added for $12 or less per month. Call 1-800-DIRECTV to order now.
That's what's still ahead. We have our game, then Sports Center. But don't forget this evening, Bill Lambert, Grizzlies, Spurs, Rockets, Lakers.
Well, Grizzlies Spurs will be entertaining watching the Spurs toy with them, but Yao versus Shaq is going to be spectacular.
Because?
Because Houston might win this game tonight.
Oh, now you're softening your stance. Houston might win it. Okay. Meanwhile, Stephon Marbury getting ready for Game 2 of our quadruple header. He leads the Knicks in points and assists. He's ready to lead them into Game 1 of the playoffs.
Back here in Indiana, time for the Chevrolet Game Track.
Well, for Indiana, it's been about Ron Artest on the defensive end, really putting a clamp on Paul Pierce and offensively getting to spots where he can score. Paul Pierce obviously frustrated. Look at the swarming defense all around him. And he's had 7 turnovers as well, so really hasn't been as effective as we expect Paul Pierce. And then in the paint, establishing the size advantage, using the half-court execution to score and control tempo is what the Pacers have done.
They've been up by as many as 29 in this third quarter, and they lead by 22 right now. Chucky Atkins at the free throw line for Boston. 18 points for Chucky Atkins today. Looking for his 20th on the second free throw, and he would only be 3 points off his playoff career high. Things really started to gel for the Celtics when he came, as they went on that hot run in March, winning 9 out of 14 games played, including their win at Minnesota, which probably is their most impressive win of the year. Harrington.
Boy, look at the quickness of Al Harrington. Again, you look at that big body, you don't expect him to have that lightning quick first step to get head and shoulders past.
Al Harrington adds to his playoff career high total, 12 points for him. Ooh, Mim wide open inside. They didn't see him initially, and O'Neal is called for the foul. First round of the Eastern Conference, the #1 seed, the Pacers, the #8 seed, the Celtics. I'm Jim Durham with Len Elmore and Michelle Tafoya. Glad to have you with us. In fact, let's check in with Michelle.
Well, you talked a lot about Al Harrington, who comes off the bench. He would start on so many teams. He's acknowledged he wants to be a starter. But Rick Carlisle said, I disagree with those that suggest he has not embraced the role of sixth man. True, he wants to start, but he has shown he wants to win more than anything else. And that's been on display today. But he has said next season he expects to start. So, Len, who doesn't for Indy if he does?
Well, I'm not sure how they're going to really address the chemistry situation as well as the lineup, but that's a sign of a young man who still needs to grow in understanding this game, because it's not who starts, it's who finishes. It's the number of minutes that you get.
And you know what about that? It's because of the way Reggie Miller accepts his situation, and then the rest of them do.
Well, yeah, and they have to be able to look at a guy like Reggie Miller, who's been around for so long and been successful for so long, and if it's good enough for Reggie, it's got to be good enough for me.
There you go. Harrington ran into a dead end, and Anthony Johnson recovers. Just about a minute left in the third. Ron Artest with 9 to shoot. Open is Johnson. And on the rebound, a loose ball foul. 56 seconds left. Let's listen in to Coach John Carroll during the last Boston timeout.
All worked up about the score. Worked up. What we want to do is improve to win the game, or improve to win the next game. That's our goal. Yeah. All right? That's what we're trying to achieve here.
Well, John Carroll and the Celtics only got a little over 12 minutes to try and come back and get into this one. Otherwise, they'll have to wait a while for game 2 as they don't play again until Tuesday. Ricky Davis split the free throws. That personal foul was on Harrington. He's got 2.
And that's a fine balance the coach has to strike. Certainly you want your team to put forth the effort to try to get back into this ball game, make it competitive, and maybe steal a win, but you also have to maintain a bigger picture outlook, work on some things here that might become valuable for you down the road in this series.
Artest missing for 3. The rebound to Mim, and a loose ball foul called. It's on Mim. Or is it on Blount? It's on Blount. That's 5 fouls on Mark Blount. Tomorrow on TNT, Miami Heat with a home court advantage against New Orleans. They open up at 7 o'clock Eastern. Then Denver plays at Minnesota in the 1-8 matchup in the West. And on Tuesday night on NBA TV, the Celtics and Pacers here in game 2 at 8:30 Eastern. Ron Artest is out of the game. Jonathan Bender is in. You see Blount, he's gone out with his 5th foul.
You take a look at Blount right there with the forearm to Al Harrington. Again, sending a message that this is playoff basketball. You're going to have to play physical.
Jones makes the entrance into the post. The shot clock at 11, about 4 difference. Harrington works it in the lane, got snuffed at the rim, but a foul called, and he'll shoot 2.
Boy, Al Harrington just worked that play to perfection, milked the clock, and then made a strong move to the basket. And again, as you watch him, the more you watch him, the more you understand how gifted he is. Again, big physical body, but so quick.
73% free throw shooter during the regular season for Al Harrington, and that free throw gives him 13 points today. And that's what he averaged during the regular season. A candidate for the 6th Man of the Year award. 14 points today. Back to a 24-point lead for the Pacers, and the Celtics with a chance at the final shot in the third. Pierce on the miss, but a foul called.
And that's just the inexperience of Jonathan Bender coming out on the floor, immediately having to match up with Paul Pierce and fouling the jump shooter. You know, if you're in the game, you recognize, obviously, Pierce has missed his last 7 field goal attempts. So you just invite him to shoot a little bit till he shows that he can make them again.
And he's missed 2 of the last 5 free throws. He makes the one here.
Number 11, Marcus Banks, back in the lineup for
Paul Pierce hasn't scored since the buzzer in the first quarter. Marcus Banks into the game for Boston with 4.5 seconds left. Hadn't scored from the field.
Boy, that's like dog years for Paul Pierce, the way he can put points on the scoreboard.
Bender trying to get an open look. How about that? And it's a 2, I believe. The officials confer. Anyway, it won't matter much because it's still a big lead for the Pacers after 3.
Do you have the right truck? The best-selling half-ton regular and extended cab is now available as a crew cab. Introducing the new Silverado half-ton crew. It's the right truck from Chevy.
11 p.m. It's Albert and Ben. 2:10. What's up with your friend? It's 3:42. That girl rocks. She's got more skills than you. Now it's 5:38. Thoughts of McGriddles make my stomach quake. For bacon, eggs, and cheese on sweet griddle cakes. Only takes one hand to put them all in my base. McDonald's, I'm loving it. McGriddles, breakfast for you, bedtime snack for me.
Greatness is not a birthright. It's not something that can just be handed to you. So why is it such a surprise for someone great to come here?
Then took down AI and T-Mac. Drop KG and Shaq. But yo, before you can have the car, the crib, and the crew, you gotta have the moves. NBA ballers, rated E for everyone.
Turn right at the big tree. Go north.
Give it up, what big old CC, put you from the stand, she gave it away. Pump it up, you know she got play, nothing's gonna stop me cause I'm here to stay.
Welcome back to 20th Century Fox's presentation of ESPN's Play Like There's No Tomorrow.
Here in Indiana with Michelle Tafoya and Len Elmore, I'm Jim Durham. The Pacers lead the Celtics by 24 after 3. And Executive Director of Basketball Operations Danny Ainge of the Celtics maybe thinking, see what I mean about not making the playoffs? Because, you know, I had that quote a while back that maybe it's better over the long run to get a better draft pick. Although they got 3 in the first round now. Bender got turned away by the big guys up front for the Celtics. Fred Jones with 3 to shoot. Man, that's a killer right there. They had him down on the shot clock, and Fred Jones delivered.
And Fred Jones, we talked about his improvement from last year to this year. That's one of the major areas, his ability to stick that perimeter shot.
Off the ball as Bender and Pierce got tied up. A foul on Bender. Here's that quote we talked about with Danny Ainge. I'm not going to lie about it. For the long term, part of this, obviously better for us to get a higher draft pick.
Yeah, but you know what? I'm not sure I agree with that. You look at a team like this that could make the playoffs next year, and these guys now have some of the requisite experience in order to be able to compete. You know, you don't make the playoffs, you're going to go through this learning process the next time you get there.
Another shot clock violation, and Ron Artest is not on Paul Pierce now. That was Fred Jones.
And that pretty much was brain lock. Before the Celtics inbounded the ball, they have got to recognize where the shot clock is and take appropriate action. That time, everybody is asleep at the switch.
That's the 4th 24-second clock violation for Boston today. Underneath is Foster. Since the first quarter, when Boston was 11 of 20 from the field, just 26%. And Banks make that Ricky Davis hits from the outside.
And make no mistake about it, Jim, that's been the Indiana defense we mentioned before. Contesting every shot, helping each other on the defense, really forcing the Celtics to go one-on-one, which in this particular game does not work to their advantage.
And now the Pacers turn it over. And John Carroll is saying, someone come over here and inbound the ball. And so the rookie Brandon Hunter trots down and flips it in play.
And, you know, it really didn't make much of a difference who inbounded the ball that time, but I think what John Carroll is doing is once again striving for perfection, even now in a teaching mode, because he might be able to use it down the road. Get that discipline instilled.
Ricky Davis working in from the top, and Hunter with the offensive rebound. That hasn't happened often today.
Now Brandon Hunter really rooted himself down like an oak.
And here's an offensive foul call on Indiana. It's on Foster.
That's an interesting call because Foster looked as though he was set, but his problem was he was bracing for the hit. Look at the screen right there at the top of the screen. It looked as though Foster's watching him. He's bracing for the hit right there. That's a clean pick.
That's 2 fouls in a row against the Pacers at the offensive end. Banks has the shot blocked by Johnson. Underneath is Mim. All of a sudden here in the fourth, the Pacers are able to go inside and get some things, and just like that, Rick Carlisle wants a timeout.
And again, striving for perfection, trying to keep his guys sharp, not allowing them to get easy baskets in the paint, and Rick Carlisle wants to talk about that.
2 hoops in a row inside for Boston.
Introducing Bacardi Silver Limon Premium Malt Beverage. 5% alcohol by volume. Flavor your night.
Honey, would you be a dear and pick up your brother?
Faster?
Brother, soccer 6.
Good. What on earth could you and your grandma be talking about for 3 minutes?
Mom, I didn't make the squad.
Is your family's wireless plan costing you a fortune? Take your number to T-Mobile, where families talk free.
Free? Free.
Now families talk free. 2 lines, just $49.99.
T-Mobile, get more.
I'm glad you could be here tonight. It's been a year, but you look good. I'm a little nervous. Can you tell? I've been thinking of you all year long. You've been so quiet all night. You're not going to say anything, are you?
ESPN's presentation of the NBA playoffs, brought to you by The Day After Tomorrow, in theaters May 28th. T-Mobile, get more minutes, more features, more service. And Jeep, trail-rated capability, only in a Jeep 4x4.
TJ Kidd getting his daddy ready as Jason gets ready to do battle against the Knicks. Nets and Knicks coming up next at 4:30 Eastern.
When we're finished here in Indiana with the Pacers up by 22 early in the fourth.
Well, now it's time to view our Sprite Mad skills, and we're going to look at Team D the Pacer way. Look at Ron Artest fight through the screen, but he gets a little help from his friend, Jermaine O'Neal, and trying to defense Paul Pierce, and a nice job there. And again, it's Artest, this time isolated one-on-one, doesn't need any help. Look at the intensity defensively. And Pierce just frustrated throughout the afternoon because of that strong defense, forced to give up the ball. And again, another job. And now we're going to get back to Michelle.
Well, you know, in his quest to get votes for Ron Artest as Defensive Player of the Year, Rick Carlisle did something interesting. He got 2 video assistants to log every defensive possession of the season to see what Ron Artest accomplishes when he's guarding an opponent one-on-one. Carlisle wanted a statistic to come out of that was both unusual and compelling. They looked at 8,000 defensive possessions, and the stat that came out of it, guys, is that in 37 minutes a game, Ron Artest allows just 9.4 shots and 8.1 points per game. Pretty good stuff one-on-one from Ron Artest. And you have to wonder if it makes enough of a case for him for Defensive Player of the Year, guys.
Well, I know what. That three-pointer by Pierce gets Artest off the bench. He'll be coming back shortly, about 9 minutes left. Off the drive by Anthony Johnson. It's an offensive foul on Anthony Johnson.
And, you know, that's a terrific commitment by Rick Carlisle and his staff to Ron Artest and what he's been able to do out there on the floor to be able to break it down in such a fashion and make that case. And the thing about Ron Artest, again, is his intensity, his focus. People talk about his temper and some of the things he's not been able to control over the last couple of years, but this year seems to have under control because he channels it so well on the defensive end. That's what makes him so tough.
So much so that he's now a co-captain of this team. Banks on the drive in for the right, lost it. Pierce had the shot swatted out of there. The Pacers end up with it.
Well, there's a lot of pride in this defense as well. You look at this deficit, big lead, still no letdown by the Indiana defense.
8:40 for the fourth. The Pacers by 19. Indiana turns it over again. Nope. O'Neal was able to claim it. Now against the shot clock. The rebound loose to Boston. Marcus Banks sets up Ricky Davis for 3. All of a sudden, the Celtics are getting back in it on a 12-0 run.
And they're gaining confidence as well. Marcus Banks with the quickness on the penetration. And what the Celtics are doing right now, they're going to allow their point guard or ball handler to penetrate and spot up guys beyond the arc. Look for that penetration and kick.
The steal by Davis. Fred Jones finding Artest in the corner. The 3 rattles out to Mim.
And the Pacers, on the other hand, playing right into the Celtics' hands, going away from the inside game, taking their share of jump shots.
Pierce on the 3-point attempt had it hop over the backboard out of bounds. Reggie Miller coming back for Indiana. Fred Jones going out. Beginning Monday, tune in to NBA TV playoff show Destination Finals every weeknight on NBA TV. The lead was 29. It's now 16 with 7:38 left. Reggie Miller finds Artest with 6 to shoot. The rebound tipped out of bounds by Boston.
Boy, that's just tough luck for the Celtics. They finally do a nice job of screening off the offensive rebounder on the weak side glass, particularly Chris Mim, and they can't corral a rebound.
Miller looks to bring it in. Tinsley guarded by Banks. Tinsley lost it off the dribble. It was knocked out by Banks.
Well, you can't sleep on Banks when you're handling the ball because of his quickness, particularly his quick hands. Marcus Banks is a guy that continues to attack the ball handlers.
The Pacers come in with 17 to shoot. Tinsley left open. And the rebound raked down by Pierce.
And you can see that's the Celtics strategy, going underneath the screens and asking Tinsley to shoot it. And Chris, he didn't even know where he was on the floor that time.
Man, he overshot the rim badly.
Yeah, as a big guy, you look down at the floor, you should know exactly where you are in relation to the basket.
Artest gets them one they sorely needed. That stops the bleeding. Back to an 18-point lead for the Pacers.
Boy, what a missed opportunity on the missed layup by Chris Mim to have the Pacers come back and answer.
Davis gives it up to Welsh. The shot clock at 8. Ricky Davis under pressure of Harrington, and Artest corrals the rebound.
And going back to the one-on-one isolation, slows down the offense, bogs it down, nobody on the glass, and not the best of shots.
12 to shoot here for Indiana. The Pacers, of course, content to take as much off as they can. Artest is fouled by Pierce, and Paul Pierce has his third.
That's a helpless feeling right there. You got a guy as big and strong and as wide as Ron Artest, and he's got you on your hip, on his hip, I should say, with no help in sight. Look at Paul Pierce. He's trying to do everything right now, just getting backed out of there.
Ron Artest, 4 out of 5 from the line today. Has a chance to put him back up by 20. Ron Artest from St. John's, majored in math.
Get ready for that contract he knew he was going to sign. But, you know, you look at him, born in Queensbridge, tough area in New York City, and, you know, a lot of people look at his tough environment and make the connection with, you know, the way he approached the game over the last couple of years. But, you know, they don't see the charitable side of Ron Artest involved in a lot of community activities, doesn't get a whole lot of recognition for it, only for some of the bad things that he does. But obviously, as he cools down, you know, people are going to start to recognize and see the real Ron Artest, which is going to be a pretty good citizen. He's made some mistakes, but haven't we all?
I tell you what, he's really turned into a great player. His offensive end equals his defensive end now. And look who they've gone to when they've desperately needed some scoring here in the fourth, to Artest in the post. He'll be on the line when we come back.
Oh, thanks, Marge. Sorry.
There's this guy named Murphy. He's got this law that says whatever can go wrong will. That's why the trail-rated Jeep Grand Cherokee is tested on Earth's toughest terrain. It's your loophole in Murphy's Law.
Mike, stop!
Trail-rated capability. Only in a Jeep 4x4. On an April weekend in New York City, 32 teams begin the quest for a championship.
It's April, and we're ready for some football.
You'd love to draft an All-American, but any selection could be a standout. An All-Pro, a Super Bowl MVP. What does your team need? The NFL Draft 2004, presented by Coors Light, begins Saturday, April 24th at noon on ESPN and continues all weekend on ESPN and ESPN2.
No. The heavyweight division is up for grabs with 2 titles on the line in one night. Bird risks it all against Scalata, and Ruiz stakes his belt against Oquendo in a Latino showdown. Bird versus Scalata, Ruiz versus Oquendo, plus a welterweight championship extra, Mayorga versus Rivera. All Saturday, April 17th. Live on DirecTV pay-per-view. Don't miss it. Live on DirecTV pay-per-view, channel 101. It's a heavyweight night. Let the next era begin.
DirecTV Preview Events and Music Choice presents a concert shot live at the Hollywood Bowl with Ben Harper and the Innocent Criminals.
With my own 2 hands.
Watch Ben perform songs from his latest critically acclaimed album, Diamonds on the Inside. Enjoy other favorites and look for the new CD and DVD in stores now. Ben Harper, this month on Channel 103.
Kenyon Martin dealing with tendonitis in his knee, but focused as he goes through his pregame ritual. Let's head back to the Heartland where Michelle Tafoya has more on Reggie Miller's pregame ritual.
It's a crazy pregame ritual, you guys, and it started a long time ago where Reggie would just get in the face of the PR director for the Indiana Pacers. That's David Benner, and he just talks a lot of trash. This happened years ago, and not a single game goes by when Reggie doesn't have that conversation and then turn and drain a shot. He is one of the most superstitious players in the league. There's David Benner, the PR director, who bears the brunt of that verbal attack. He also has to hand Reggie a particular glass of soda or juice right before that banter. But Reggie's got a million of them. I asked Rick Carlisle about it. He said, you know, I don't really want to know about the superstitions. I'm sure they're well formulated, but it's best that I just don't know.
Well, that's like Stevie Wonder said, when you believe in things you don't understand, you suffer. So just let it go.
Reggie Miller got him off and going today. He hit 2 field goals. One was a 3 early on. He's had just 3 free throws since. Hasn't played a lot of minutes. Ron Artest with 24 points and ends up with a rebound. Ron Artest's playoff career high is 26, so he's got a shot at that with 5:37 left.
Well, speaking of Reggie Miller, he's the one that got the Pacers started. They went to him early, and he doesn't necessarily need the numbers in this particular game. It's having to be ready down the stretch.
Jermaine O'Neal delivers out of the post. And a 23-point lead for Indiana. A pass inside, we get a kick violation. Tomorrow, the best of the game, taking it to a whole new level. ABC brings you first-round action from the playoffs. The Mavericks and Kings in Game 1 in the West from Arco Arena. Coverage starts with GMC hang time at 3 o'clock Eastern. That's tomorrow on ABC, home of the NBA Finals. Should you not be near a TV, ESPN Radio will be on hand for that one at 3:07 Eastern. On a back cut and missed tip on the alley-oop intended for Davis.
And Jim, you talked about at the beginning of this telecast about gentlemen start your engines, us being here in Indianapolis. Well, the number 1 and 2 offensive teams in the NBA in Dallas and Sacramento, they got the engines revving right now.
They never turn theirs off. Ron Artest finds Reggie Miller. Offensive rebound. Lost out of bounds, so the Celtics will have it.
Boy, what a connection between these Pacer fans and Reggie Miller. Again, you look at this lead that they have, and, you know, people could yawn and so-so, but every time Reggie touches the ball, there's that air of anticipation, him hitting a three, so folks can jump out of their seats and really appreciate this man.
Davis finding Atkins off the jackknife move, and the rebound to Mim, and his follow is blocked, but a foul puts Mim on the line.
Boy, and you watch Chris Mim with his size and, you know, the skill level that he has from an athletic standpoint, you wonder why he's not going to the basket stronger, why he doesn't have that intensity and focus. There are a couple of times right now he should have ripped the rim down. Instead, he goes up softly, gets it blocked. Fortunately for him, he draws a foul, but, you know, I'd like to see him use that physical capability more.
And one of those times was when the Celtics had clawed back from 29. They had it down to 16. And Mim overshot the rim from right to left on a layup, which would have cut it to 14.
And again, it goes back to the level of intensity that he has never experienced with regard to playoff basketball.
0 for 2 at the free throw line. Jermaine O'Neal and Al Harrington, each with a double-double today. There was a lane violation on Harrington, so another attempt coming for Chris Mim. 4:28 left. The Pacers have had the Celtics in the grinder for most of the day.
And right now, the Celtics are playing for Game 2. Here's where you start working on execution, trying to stop people. It's not a time to quit.
Reggie Miller with his second three-pointer of the afternoon. Davis works into a crowd at the rim and still scores.
You know, you want to get some guys out there like Ricky Davis and others back on their game, and you use this last 4 minutes or so to start getting them primed for Game 2.
Ron Artest with 10 on the shot clock. And in the collision with Davis, there's a foul called on Ron Artest. And still with more on Reggie Miller, here's Michelle.
Well, you guys mentioned the connection between the fans and Reggie Miller. There's also a connection, a very, very strong one, between Reggie and his team. Jermaine O'Neal told me, I think everyone in the locker room feels they owe Reggie an opportunity to play in a championship. He's still our star player. That's how we see it. He's still our big gun. He cannot even take a shot until 3 seconds are left and still knock it down. He means so much to this team, and he does mean a lot to this community, but Reggie himself would love another chance to get back to the finals, guys.
Well, Reggie, as we talked about earlier in the game, he doesn't do it as often, but he still does it as well. And you make a good point, Michelle. A lot of his shots that he does take are against the shot clock, against the defense, and he still shoots at a high percentage. O'Neal the rebound.
It's all about being there when you need it.
Davis. Ricky Davis given a three on that one, his second three-pointer today.
And that's what makes Ricky Davis so difficult to guard. You never know when he's going to raise up and shoot.
He's got 10 of their points in the fourth quarter. A timeout with 3:01 left in the fourth.
Submit to you Miller's Record. Miller Lite, the great tasting beer that's less filling. Miller Genuine Draft, a beer with genuine flavor that's cold filtered smooth. Clear beer. Well, Miller clearly has a history of progressive decision making, and I would ask the king of beers what he would say to that. Why won't my opponent debate this issue? Is it because he's a horse, or is it because he's got blinders on? No peripheral vision. Look at me. Both sides.
Choose taste. Miller. Good call.
A rare 20-second timeout taken just ahead of the 3-minute mark. And once you get inside, you're going to have a mandatory timeout anyway. There you see Reggie Miller. Boy, that's classic right there.
Certainly is. Using the screens and then the little back pedal. Vintage Reggie Miller.
Are we on ESPN or ESPN Classic right now?
Well, sometimes you see the flashback of that brilliance.
It looks the same.
Yeah.
So the Pacers in the process of naming their own final with 2:47 left. Ron Artest goes into O'Neal. It's stolen by Mim. Mim at the other end stumbles forward and is called for an offensive foul. Now the timeout. 2:39 left. Indiana by 18.
All right, boys. I know you might be tired, but we're in full playoff mode now, and we're going to need everything you got. The players are giving their all, and we're going to need you to do the same.
The NHL playoffs delivered daily on ESPN and ESPN2.
I push through the pain and raise my game. A victory is the only thing to gain. So I take it to the hole, drop it up your lane. The trophy is the reason why I came. Let's get it started. Yeah, let's get it started.
So this is a great first date. Y'all look delicious. I mean, pretty. Sometimes they know me up in this joint. I pop a couple collars, you know.
Hello. Can I take your order?
Yeah, I'll have
Yeah,
that.
you can take my order. Let me get 3 number 5s, 12, 8.
You got an ear infection.
7. That's what Marvin wants. Yeah.
Unleash the Rocky Mountain cold taste of Coors Light.
The trail-rated Jeep Liberty, with its Command-Track 4-wheel drive and dynamic suspension system, it'll get you out of the most impossible situations. Trail-rated capability, only in a Jeep 4x4.
Jason Kidd and Kenyon Martin missed the last 2 meetings during the regular season between the Nets and Knicks. They're there today. That's 32 points and 16 rebounds combined. Jim?
All right, Kevin, so that one coming up when we're done here at Indiana. New Jersey, the 2nd seed. New York, the 7th seed. Kidd and Marbury, Nets and Knicks. Len Elmore, how do you like that series? You think the favorite team will prevail in that 7-game series?
Well, a lot of people don't realize how strong a rivalry that is, having played in it a long time ago. I wouldn't say the turn of the century, but, you know, in the 80s. But at the end of the day, I think the New Jersey defense is one of those things that will out. I mean, there's a newfound enthusiasm in New York with Isaiah Thomas, people he's brought in, but maybe they're a year away.
Jermaine O'Neal loaded that one up and finished with both hands. Back to a 20-point lead as we near the 2-minute mark. Well, neither team is looking ahead to Tuesday at this point.
2 minutes, 2 o'clock.
When you look at the lineups out there, Welsh.
Well, you know, they may not be looking ahead, but they're certainly playing for Tuesday with the guys that are on the court right now.
But I mean, you've got Artest still out there. You've got Tinsley, Reggie Miller, Jermaine O'Neal.
Well, it's to get guys sharp, and with Reggie Miller particularly, again, you want to keep him sharp, keep him capable of stepping in at any moment. And if you're the Celtics, obviously you're playing for execution. You're playing to finish these last minute and 40 seconds on a high note.
Paul Pierce still out there for Boston. Chucky Atkins. Foster on his way to the scorer's table for the Pacers. Yuri Welch. This is Davis. And Miller with the rebound, about 1:20 left. The Pacers, who have home court advantage throughout the playoffs, and even if they go to the finals, they would host, as they have the best record in the league. Today had a crowd that was not a capacity crowd. They ended up with 16,605 at Conseco. Artest miss claimed by Welsh with 1 minute remaining, and Reggie Miller takes a foul to get Bender and to get Foster into the game. Well, a big turnaround from a year ago in game one between these two, and especially so for Paul Pierce.
Well, absolutely. Again, the main focus of the Indiana defense was to get the ball out of Pierce's hands, make him work for every shot that he took. Obviously, mission accomplished. And, Jim, as you mentioned, now they're looking forward for Tuesday. You know, there was a point in time when you wanted to get guys sharp. You had plenty of time to rest.
Harrington going to the dressing room early with 58.7 left. Dana Barros, who was just activated at the tail end of the regular season and then was put on the playoff roster. He was serving as an assistant coach with the Celtics. But Banks is at the point. 14 to shoot. Mim missing again out of the post, and Foster the rebound.
Talk about Dana Barros, 14th season in pro basketball. Makes me feel old because I remember covering him at Boston College.
Barros got 6 points against Atlanta the other night in their final game of the season. Tinsley from another area code. And Banks finds Barros. Swatted away by Bender, but tipped in by Mim. So the final seconds of game one as the Pacers are about to go up 1-0. Boston stayed with them in the first. They were down by only 1, but Indiana had it opened up by halftime as they were up by 22. And they coast in today 104-88. Don't forget, coming up next here on ESPN, the Knicks versus the Nets. And that's going to do it from Conseco in Indianapolis. I'm Jim Durham saying so long for our entire ESPN crew.